live on YouTube. Looks like something's happening. Yeah, here we go. All right, and then inform Instagram and Facebook that we're going to be live for 3 hours today.
Facebook?
Yeah, I just posted my accounts, Instagram and Facebook at the same time through their Meta's Creator Studio. Now
Is
they
that
call
just
it
a,
Meta Business Suite.
is that just a link? Or is it
You
a
can use the
live?
link through Facebook, but no live. I'm just sending everybody. We get good jumps from those two platforms over to YouTube. I'd rather have everybody over here on YouTube
So you're
commenting.
you're sending a notification that we are live on YouTube.
Yeah.
I found I had a sketchbook at school that I had sketched out Charvel locked in the bathroom, and I don't think I sent this to Ken as a reference, but it shows her more or less as a tall, not that buxom, just character design. So I'm going to send this to I can work on this on Photoshop, and instead of inking, I'll do and kind of like an EQ enhancement to turn the pencils into inks that way.
So you're just going to basically high contrast the.
Yeah, unless you want me to send it to you. You want me to send a copy to you?
Well, this is what we're going to talk about today. I'm actually grabbing a piece of paper. So, also, I just wanted to keep a heavy reminder that when we did our interview with Noah Luciani, who does Black Arrow comics, during his interview, he actually did this turbo pinup. So we want to definitely slide that in there. So I printed out a copy just to have around to constantly remind myself. But, I think the biggest part we need right now and today is the layout of Doom Mags number 1, which would include, obviously, a page count. Now, I know you're the kind of guy that always has this page count primary. Like, I'm going to do a 32-page book, and I'm going to fill it with art. I'm the opposite, okay? I've tried to establish this before, so I want to try to get us on an agreeing page where I just make stuff until, for a deadline, basically. I say, okay, look, for the next 6 months, I'm really going to work on this project, this idea, so on and so forth. And then start looking at the material as a whole, and then start going, oh, wow, I mean, I do have 17 pages of comics. I've got some Prose stuff. I have some pinups. Blah, blah, blah. Oh, it looks like it's going to look like a 32.
Yeah, I think your first sentence covers it. You don't care about the page count. You want to do a time count.
Well, what I'm really saying is we're closing in on an amount of content. Now, before, when we were doing our our teasers, which we're now migrating to the Doom Magazine Anthology, it was just us, and we were doing 6 pages at a time. This is the second one, so that would collaborate into another set of 6, which made it 12. We put them together, and then we came up with this 2-page spread promoting the Substack. So my thought, and this is where we left off last week, was the end of the world timeline, that you have all these bullet points, which then you were like, oh yeah, I've got text for that. We've got illustrations, doodles, whatever it is. Let's start, laying those pages out. Now, you also said at the front of every story, because we've got 3 stories, you wanted to give a page dedicated to information, informing people, introduction, to that story arc. One of them would obviously be a reminder of what happened in the first 12 pages of Pit Fighter. So if we can put something together today in agreement of A, how much content we have right now, and B, what that will all look like, in a package, then from here till the end of the year, we just have to make sure we're checking off the list of that content being completed and ready for print.
Right. So, and there's still a good chance it could be 32 pages, right?
I personally right now don't care. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't have any. There's nothing weighing on me that we have to be at 32 pages. All I'm curious about is how much content can we put together by the end of the year to put a anthology together.
Well, I think it's one of those things where we get what we get, but there's a date where where we're gonna miss out if we don't close things out. So until we get to that point, try to get as much in there as possible.
Yeah, but I'm just saying right now we have a ton of stuff. Unless you are not.
Yeah, I was aiming for 32 pages plus covers. If it looks like it's going to be, are you saying it's going to be less than that?
I have no idea, Jake. All I'm trying to do is get you on the same page as me.
Right.
I'm not on your 32 page thing. I'm on the how much content have we been working on in the last year? Because that's really what's been happening is since we put out, I don't even know, did we date? I don't even think we dated this when we first put this one out. Did we put a date in here? I don't even think we have an indicia. So, this was the beginning of the year. So, we've been spending, I would say, anywhere over 6 months of working on content. We got 6 pages from Ken Landgraf. We're now working with Alex Turbin, have been working with Alex Turbin, have had him on the episode multiple times. You have been doing always what Jake does, which is come up with ideas, write up some concepts, flesh them out, maybe a script, post them on hellclaw.com or Substack. And then you have all these doodles, like these things that I can then either turn to inks, or you could actually spend some time turning them into, a completed Jake Jacobs illustration.
Yeah. So just basically just working.
Today though, I want it to be that we're making a checklist of what it is that will be the content for Doom Mags #1. I don't want to keep having an episode every episode. I don't want to keep showing up saying, well, we got this, we could put this in. I don't want to put that, you know what I mean? I just want us to get locked in how we're going to go. Because we do have an 11 pager by Alex Turbin, which is the Duke, The Secret Life of the Duke. And I talked to him early this past week, and he says he has half the pages he wants to mail to me soon. I'm going to touch base with him tomorrow on what's going on there. But that would be great, because then, if we had 6 pages right now, that would keep us at 6 times 3 is 18. So that's 18 pages of comics. You have, like I said, expressed that there would be, a 1-page intro for each of these 3 stories. And then, so that's another 3. But then we have this end of the world timeline. So it's the casualties, the arrival of Chronomorph Giantess, Secret Chronicles of the Duke, which we have a comic for, Cremita, the Shebot build herself, Broken Family, Risen of the Rise of the Shebots, Pleasure Bots, excuse me. descent into cultism, the Tuesday movement, the Sentinels, the slow birth of longevity, World in Ruin, the ironic saga, Elvena 2222.
Yeah, you should show that. You show that up close so people could see it if you're reading it.
Yeah.
But
they should have their copies of the Turbo teaser at hand right now and following along following along with us.
Yes,
You can buy
everybody
these
can
at
still, they can still
kurtbrugel.com. Man,
right.
Um,
So yeah. Well, let me know what you want me to respond so we can have more of a back and forth.
Yeah, I'm ready.
So yeah, the Chronomorph Giants is kind of morphed into the Charvel story, because she's going to be the 6'8" giantess whose test tube daughter is 7'11", and that's how things get going on that front. We have sequential art pages for the Duke, so we will have a 1-page at least lead in with illustrated text, and the Charvel. I think the only thing I was uncertain of is how many pages Alex is going to turn in. So if we're proceeding with the assumption that it's going to be 11, then so where does that bring us? I think I did this calculation myself last week on a piece of cardboard here. Let's see.
So what are the segments that from the end of the world timeline that are not casualties? We have, as 6-pager from Ken Landgraf, art wise, and then what was the other one? The Secret Chronicles of the Duke is what we're working collaboration with Alex Turbin. What are the other ones that you wanted to give, like maybe a 2-page spread?
I'm open to any of them. So we need to figure out first how many available pages we need.
So I'll kick it back to you and ask you, how much written content do you have and illustrations to support it in the rough, in just the rough?
Well, in illustrations, we've got, I don't know, 20 to 30 or 50 that we have on the Substack we've already posted. Some of which have been some of which have been inked, some of which not. We also have probably 20,000 words of story for all the different categories. We have the bullet points, and then we also have the end of the world index, which we update, which was kind of like an update of the bullet points there. I'm gonna show it close to the camera so people can see what we're talking about, because at that level that you have it, there's no way anybody can see what we're talking about. So here is what Kurt was reading before. This was more than a year ago when we finished Turbo 2 teaser. We had the casualties featuring Esoteric Hellclaw, the Duke, Chromita, who is part of the casualties, so those bullets can combine now. The rise of the pleasure bots, that has since morphed into Shankar Vaisha versus the P bots. The descent into cultism, we're kind of working that in the text to all of these things, because it's a big part of the story, especially leading up to the Elevena saga. The sentience, there's quite a bit of writing online now, and we have some pictures, including the picture on the end of the world index, and the saga of Elevena 2222, which we could also do if we had, like I was thinking, if we have a page for each, but I don't know if we have all that availability. So I guess we have to do the math again. Like I'm a 5-year-old. We have Turbo is 6. Are we running the Ken Landgraf Turbo pinup in this book? We don't know.
Oh shit! So, I totally forgot. No, we are. I mean, I totally forgot about that.
or we could say, yeah, okay. So Turbo is 7 then.
Do I have a copy of that?
I think so.
Huh.
I don't know. Who has the original?
Let me see. Oh, I should, right?
Well,
So this
Turbo,
is why we're doing what we're doing.
if we need to cut it, we could. So Turbo could be 6 or 7. You say for Alex, we're going with 11 for now. Okay, right? We're just like, total optimism.
Oh
Ken
yeah, I got
Landgraf,
it. I got it. I got it. I got it.
okay, Ken Landgraf, that's 6.
You sent that to me.
And then we have Chromita, that's 2. So I'm getting 17, 19.
You have the Ken Landgraf Turbo. I only have a photograph of it, and that's from you. So that's something we need to.
Okay, I have it here.
Thank God you have that printer now.
Yeah, I got the scanner now. All right. So
Scanner.
I'm looking here. This is 17, 19. So this is 25 to 26 pages just on the sequential art that's already done or being done. Right? For Alex, we're going to need finishing and lettering. The Ken is 100% done, right? The Turbo is 100% done, except maybe for the pinup. The Chromita is 100% done.
Right.
So that's either 25 or 26, depending on if we include the pinup, the Turbo pinup. So let's say 26. And if we wanted to get to 32, that's another 6 pages. So we have one of the Duke. So we have the lead-in pages for lead-in for the Duke, at least one. The lead-in for Charvel, or the casualties. So that's 2. And that would leave us 4 other pages. I was going to suggest, now you said you wanted to do a Crom advertisement page or a Kurt advertisement page, which I'm fine with, but I want to do one too. And I'm wondering, do we maybe want to each get a half a page instead? Because I think that would make it more, that would make the book more of a condensed feel, because this is the closest thing we're going to have to anything looking like an ad. Would you be okay with that?
I wouldn't say yes to that yet. I wouldn't agree to it yet because we're not in.
So we're gonna have
just not close enough. I just, you know what I mean? Like the struggle we're gonna have today, Jake. The struggle. Well, I'm just saying the struggle we're gonna have today is I have to have some physical sense of what it is that's being or has been accomplished. Now I know we're making this list, but like I said, I'm not bouncing it to a page count per se. I mean, just by you starting off, I mean, I totally forgot about the 2-page of Chromita. I took the pin up. Yeah, I mean, if you're worried about filling 32 pages, I think you're just going to be wasting your energy worrying about it. I, though, am in a space of being concerned that we're going to get up against the wall towards, like, let's say mid-November, and just sort of be like, oh shit, well, we thought we were going to head this way, and then this didn't happen. Now we have to make something up. I just don't want us in that kind of like deadline crunch. So,
right. Well, I think we have plenty of text and illustrations to fill in as many zine pages as we want from any number. I mean, it looks like we might only need 4 here to get to 32, which I think is a nice size book, for a release. But we just have to work out the details. So the ads will be 1 to 2 pages, right? And that brings us from 26 to 27, 28, 29, 30, which would only leave 2 more pages for zine content, where we would pick the bullet points or the end of the world index subcategories, whatever we're calling them at this point, to create pages of. And if that was the case, I would probably lean towards one towards Elavina, and one toward Esoterra. But could be any of these. Could be there's one for Hellclaw all by herself. There's Shankra. So it's just like going through all of these kind of like eras within the timeline that we can show that we have fleshed them out since the last teaser, and where we're at, with some good content. Like what I did for the casualties and for the Duke is I condensed everything on the Hellclaw page or the Substack to just kind of like maybe 400 or 600 words, because that's all we really can fit on a zine page, I think. And I'm going to bring those over to the white computer now with some illustrations. I'm just not sure why. I just emailed this Charvel drawing to myself. I'm trying to get this on my email. I don't know why it's not coming in. But did you just get an email from me that has Charvel, this Charvel sketch? Because I wanted to lay this in like now.
No, I did not get an email.
You did not get it. Okay, nope. So something's wrong with my email that's screwing around. Let's try this again. I'll find the Charvel and email, because this is what I need to lay out today. As far as illustrations, so I have this picture of this sketch I did of Esoterra touching Charvel's face. This I did send to Ken Landgraf. So I guess he used this as a reference. It's not exactly a finished sketch. You see, it's kind of like pencil-y. You with me?
Yeah, I'm with you.
So I don't know if this is usable in its current form in our zine page, but if we wanted to have, let's say, 2 to 3 illustrations about Charvel on the page, on the zine page, leading into, you remember that whole story? I was rescued by the casualties, and it has her in the airport. It ends with her in the airport bathroom, right?
Yeah.
Right. So that picks up right where the Ken Landgraf begins. I'm pretty sure I can get that all down into one page, including some illustrations, because I have this one good illustration. It's pencil, but it's kind of tight right here, of Charvel in the closet.
Yeah, that's nice. Yeah,
right.
That's nice.
And I could even gray tone this right now on Photoshop, just like I did with the Elevator sketch. Right.
Sure.
So I just emailed this to myself and to you, but it's not coming. I'll send it to my other email. I'm waiting for it to come in, so I can put it on my jump drive and bring it over to the white computer. So we're here live on the air trying to do this, and I'm sending it actual time, only 1.3 megs, and I don't know why it's not showing up, but such is the internet. What else? So yeah, I could do a page of Esoterra if we want to just like, make it like a Marvel Universe page, right?
Yeah. I do remember you even saying that. Like, I guess the biggest. Here's my question for you: how much of the content on our Substack do you feel is up to par for print?
Nothing. We have to get it ready.
Okay, that's what
I mean, it's the raw notes that we take and we edit and we finalize for print. Right? I mean, that's the process, right? I mean, it was a sandbox, but some writing is finished.
But you can drop text. You can drop text and doodles into your Quark pages. If you laid out, if you dummied this book out at 32 pages right now, you could have enough content to fill however more pages we need.
Sure. Well, we just did the math.
Right?
We just did the math.
Yeah. I got the math part, but I'm just saying now the physicality of having stuff and how your brain is working towards an end goal with everything up to this point that we've made. I'm asking how much of that content on Substack is transferable to making pages that help fill this book.
Right. I think the question is how much of the content on Hellclaw, because I after you post stuff on Substack, I continue to edit it on Hellclaw up to the minute. Like I was just on there yesterday, making tweaks to the Duke page, making tweaks to the B Movie She Devil page. I'm always on the Hellclaw, so that's where I grab the text from. And once we get a bunch of that text, bring it into a page and put illustrations around it, then we do a final edit. And that's what I was hoping we could even do today on the air, if I could just get this email, because I need the pictures too to flow around it. And I'm not, and the picture isn't coming in for some reason. I keep hitting refresh and nothing's happening. So something's up with my internet.
I'll try emailing you real quick.
Did you get yours already?
Nope.
Yeah, something's up with my goddamn stupid email. Maybe if I quit my email program here. I'm gonna quit my email program here. Sorry, folks, I have nothing on my side. But yeah, I there's plenty that we're gonna be doing here. Now this, Kurt, is a finished sketch of baby Esoterra being discovered by her mother, her adopted mother, Dr. Madeline Terra, who is a quantum druid. So this is a great candidate to put in, but it's kind of weird the way that's, because I just started doing like the figure and then I did a full background. So if we show this fully, we would have to squeeze it down to fit on a page with text flowing around it, or maybe text even flowing like into it in different places. But, so that would be like, we could run the baby Esoterra story, right? How baby Esoterra was discovered, because there's a lot of text to that.
And that's on the Substack.
Well, you posted it on the Substack as a snapshot in time, but it has been edited since, and so it's
on Hellclaw.
Accurately on Hellclaw. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm patient.
Whoa.
Yeah, I mean, we had a great idea. We were sending out little bite-sized stories, illustrated stories on Substack to our subscribers, but now on Substack, I think the only updates people get is if we do a live, right? They get the update of the
you've been doing your after show.
Yeah,
after show kind of thing. And I think I was saying to you earlier this week when we were talking, I think that's a great thing for you. Like, I mean, if I can join you, I will. But at the same time, like, I don't watch all of it, but I do jump in. Of course, I get all of the little snapshots that Squarespace sends me. So I watch those definitely. So it gives me an idea of what it is that you're talking about. But it's a good way for you to kind of cool down and everything. But yeah, I just want to bring up that we have one.
Well, last week, Kurt was on when I started it, and then he jumped off, and Matt King came on, and we did like an hour with Matt King.
Yep. But real quick, just so everybody knows too, and it keeps us on point. On November 9th, we're going to have Junction Jones and Loco Gonzalez coming on to talk about the newly printed and
Junction Jones is not a real person.
Ready to purchase. Huh?
We're not going to have Junction Jones on because
we are. He's right here. He's right here.
He's a character in a comic book. We're going to have the creator of Junction Jones on, who goes by the PC. All right. Junction Jones is not going to be here.
I'm just excited because tonight I'm sitting down and I'm I'm gonna.
You're
get
gonna actually
into
try and
this,
get
but
through that thing. There's 5
no, no,
full-length
no, no, no.
comics in there.
I will. Yeah, I mean, this thing is just incredible. I mean, we have an interview already up with TC and Loco, and that was a great interview. But so excited to see that everything's been collected into this trade, and of course Tom TC's he's super excited. But then to have them back. And he's also in the reels, so in the update reels that'll be out later this week coming. So super excited. But this will be our last interview, which is the 9th of November, because the rest of the year it's just going to be Jake and I, probably 3 hours every Sunday, hammering this Doom Mags #1 End of the World Anthology together. So there's some exciting news. But all right, I am going to start lettering because I have the rest of the pages to get to. I got pages 1 and 2 done without the word balloons, which I want to talk about a little later once you're up and set. So we will.
Yeah, just so people know what I'm doing off camera right now is I am preparing.
Fucking around.
Well, I'm preparing the text to bring over to my white laptop. My white laptop has no internet, so I have to sneak internet. What's that?
I said the infamous.
Yeah, the sneak internet means you put it on a USB drive and walk it over. Sharp. So I'm trying to save and export all the text that I'm going to need for the Charvel casualties. I need all the text and all the pictures that are going in before I can start laying out zine pages. So that's what I'm trying to do right now, and it's a little to keep track of. It's some stuff, definitely some stuff to keep track of. I don't know why I'm not getting that goddamn email. That's very. Oh wait, you wrote Kurt hello, and it says it's empty. You just sent me an empty email.
Yeah, it's called a test.
Oh, I thought you were gonna send me the Charvel picture.
I don't know if I have it. Do I have it?
Oh, I just emailed it to you, so you didn't get it either.
Have it.
Okay,
I have not received it.
Yeah, there's something wrong. Something wrong. It's on my phone, pretty high res, right here. I wonder if there's another way I can send this. I tried this sending mail. Maybe I should try Gmail instead. I'll try Gmail instead. All right, compose. I think Gmail has higher limits too for attachments than my.
Well, what they'll do is they'll send it to the Google Drives, the drive, and then it's on the drive, and then there's a link to that attachment to then download from there. But they'll let it go through. They'll just give you a heads up.
I also have the sketch I made of the Duke's team. Here it goes, right here. All right, so this I'm gonna send this to myself. I try to send this to jake@hellclaw.com, but maybe I should send it to another one of my emails. Charvel high res.
But didn't you just get an email from me from your
Yeah, but I didn't get the Charvel attachment. Okay. You just sent me a test email, so yeah, that worked. But it seems like when I'm sending an attachment, that's when it's giving me a hard time.
Yeah, strange. See if there's a check your sent and see if it's still trying to send for some reason. Because you said you're sending it from your phone, right?
I got it that fast just now. Yes, using Gmail. Something's wrong with Mac OS Mail. It's a pain in the ass.
So we do have King Megatrip and Batmerk in the chat on YouTube, but I am seeing
hey King,
3, maybe 5. So it's the usual suspects. So,
Good to see
good morning. Good
everybody.
morning.
Feel free to add your comments and criticisms. We're the
Frustration.
Keystone Cops over here. Trying to make Doom Magazine's #1. And I actually need a lot of stuff. That's the problem, all at once. So gathering it all together, the Charvel in that bathroom, high res. I know that doesn't sound good. But I finally got my email, and it was one I didn't send to Ken Landgraf, but I probably should have. Now I have to put it on my jump drive. I saw the Power Pulp had launched the new spy comic. It was like discovered from the 80s. Did you see that, Kurt?
Oh yeah, I'm gonna get a copy.
Yeah, they found 2 creators that were like underexposed, I guess you would say. It was like, lost in the highway of history.
Yeah, it's Leo Derrick, and it was by the Stewart brothers, James and Joshua. Did you watch the interview with that Jim Rugg did of the artist Joshua?
No, did you?
Oh yeah. Anytime Jim Rugg says something on the internet, I listen.
Okay.
He also did a really great interview with Comic-Con about Power Pulp comics. So that was pretty damn cool too, because it really did lay out their approach, Power Pulp's its collaborative approach. Okay. So
what is Comic-Con?
I believe it's I don't think it's San Diego. It might be New York, but it's a channel on YouTube. It's called Comic-Con.
Okay. Yeah, well, the New York Comic-Con is going on right now. And I watched some YouTube walkthroughs. And those are great because you can see the entire thing without paying the admission, which is, I don't know how much it is now. It used to be $30 and now it might be $50. But I watched it more than half an hour. I think it's like an hour video of just walking through the entire Jacob Javits Center. And they didn't just rent one section of it. They have like a major portion of the Javits, if not the whole thing. And they walk through all of this stuff, these giant displays. You see Marvel, DC. Well, I saw DC. I didn't catch Marvel. Maybe I fast forwarded that. But you see all these manga like statues. You see all these giant, like, bigger than the Statue of Liberty manga like creations. See a lot of people in the hall doing cosplay. You see so many vendors selling everything from plushies to poster prints to clothing and apparel and all this stuff. And the one section that the guy didn't walk through was the artist alley, which is what I wanted to see the most. Because I might know some of those people. And you want to see how big it is. You want to see who's there. You want to see how many people are in attendance. If there's lines, I think the guy was there on the Thursday, right? This was a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and so it had to have been the Thursday because I think I watched it Friday night. And Kurt, I know you're a grumpy guy. I'm sometimes that way too. There was nothing for me in that Comic-Con. There's only one booth that I would have wanted. I mean, there's long lines of people. They're all walking away with giveaway bags, and they all, everyone's got goodie bags and stuff. But the only one table that I was intrigued, and you can hardly see it, was they had a booth for the High School of Art and Design there. Where they have the teachers and the students all together, and they're promoting their cartooning program in New York City public high school, the only one of its kind that has a state CTE program for sequential art and cartooning. And they have an animation program there too. So that was the only thing that I was interested in. Like, you know, they sell walls and walls of plushies. And you want to hear something else weird? I mean, you probably know this already, but it like, you know, like the cosplay people, they buy like props. So now
Yeah.
they have these stands that are like weapons that are just prop weapons, and but there's like
Yeah.
4,000 of them all hanging on a wall, so that everybody can buy the prop weapon that they want, or else bring it home and swing it around with your baby brother on the bed. Like, I don't know what is going on around here, but you know, it's a crazy world we live in, and the New York City Comic Con has just grown way beyond comics. You know, I mean, I was commenting on somebody's Substack with they posted one of these walkthrough videos, and I was like, "Where's the comics? No comics." You know, there was no vendors selling comics. There was nobody making comics. It was all just merch. You
I
know.
bet you, I bet you these promoters for these Comic Cons would love to not have to be called Comic Cons anymore, but the years and years and years and years of branding have locked them into it. But they're pop culture. It's just solid pop culture. That's all it is. And all the more to you if that's your thing. I have always just not had any interest in anything pop culture when it comes up. Anything popular, it doesn't catch me. It just doesn't catch me. And it's bit me in the ass a couple times, you know, because I was a couple seasons behind on Game of Thrones. And then a buddy of mine had to like really describe and talk me into it. And then I finally was like, all right, I'll check out an episode. And it just so happened to be the Red Wedding episode. So I was like,
Right.
holy shit. You know what I mean? I was like, oh my God, you know, and then so, you know, it took me that way. But I'm, you know, I'm not collecting things. I'm not so emotionally attached to anything out there, you know, that causes me to have to go to a con in order to feel satiated. And I think that's what happens with people who are connected to something, you know, in popular culture, Star Trek, Star Wars, Dawn of the Dead, Walking Dead, you know, all these things. And once again, if that's your thing, that's your thing, man. And if you can also hang out with other people and, you know, physically interact and have conversations with them, you know, that's great. But yeah, I saw through Instagram, it was Ken Landgraf, of course, is there and everything. It looks like he was having a great time. A lot of people turning up and picking up stuff from him. So, but he seemed to be like, he was at a corner booth or something. So I don't know how the alley works or what the layout is, but,
Right. I
you
want to
know,
go
oh,
back
and then
in.
Corinne, what was it? Halbert. She was there. She's there for the Acid Nun. So she looked like
Right, which is
she was at a
available on
prime.
norpulp.com.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, I'm gonna go back in and try and fish around to see if I can find an artist alley walkthrough. I'm sure
That's a good
some.
call.
Yeah, I'm sure somebody will have that, but it just wasn't up as of the other night. I know yesterday was a big day, and you know, I have some friends. I'm like, oh, Jake, you're missing the Comic Con. It's going on right now. It's in the city. I'm like, I'm not. Another thing, yeah, you mentioned that you know, they might as well just rebrand, you know, the whole name of it and everything. There is a separate Comic Con because when I was flipping through the videos, there was an anime artist who like documented her whole travel and her whole trip for a 4-day con at the Javits, but it wasn't the New York NY Comic Con NYCC. It was the Anime Con, and that was another 4-day con. So it is kind of what you're talking about, but only as it pertains to, I guess, you know, anime and manga, not necessarily, you know, the whole Marvel and DC slash, you know, Disney slash all the, you know, independent stuff. I mean, I honestly didn't see the Dark Horse stand or the you know, Boom stand, but I'm sure all of those you know, second tier creators all have their own publishers, all have their own stands and New York Comic Con, or maybe not. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah,
Does IDW and Dynamite and Boom and Image all have a stand there? Because it's got to be, you know, like in the thousands, you know, to rent that kind of space.
it seems counterproductive to not be there because they, you know, they're not only generating comic books from like, you know, creators individually speaking, but you know, they're also licensing. So they're doing the Dawn of the Dead comics, the Spider-Man
Right.
yeah, Spider-Man, uh, uh, you know,
Well,
Game
it's
of Thrones, you know, all this popular culture stuff. They're just one piece of the mechanism. Now, the other thing too, though, is with those types of booths, I would totally assume they would be there because then that would be a place where the creators could then just show up, so they wouldn't have to go through all the rigmarole of having a table, or maybe they have a table and then they slot time that, you know, they're signing at Dark Horse or Image or, you know, whatever, for 3 hours or 5 hours or
yeah,
something on a
the
Saturday, you know,
walkthrough
that kind
video,
of thing.
the walkthrough video I saw, you know, it must have been 40 minutes long, you know, and anybody could go find it on YouTube right now. The only big I saw there was DC. And you know, they have these like, you know, photo booths where you could put yourself in the cover of Action One and take a photo with your friends, and haha, very funny, you know. But you know, and then these giant like, I mean, you know, when they have those big, they're billboards, right? But they're like, you know, they're like ceiling, you know, floor to ceiling of Batman, Wonder Woman, and Superman. um those got to be thousands of dollars to produce too, and to hang them professionally. You know, I don't know if it's like you know, sticky vinyl or something, or maybe it just hangs like a big, you know, canvas banner with, you know, with eye loops. What do they call it? Metal eyelets, right? You can, anybody can get this kind of stuff made, but these are like, you know,
Grommets.
right, the grommets. Right, and because if these things are outdoors, they have to be wind resistant, and and you know, they have to like cut through the wind, you know, and I mean, but if they're indoors, you just, you know, stick them up, and so this is what they have, these giant displays. And you know, there's a lot of money, and some of them have like a little house inside, like a little clubhouse that you can walk into, and then like only VIPs are in there, and you're wondering what the hell's going on in there, you know. You know, these little, you know, maybe that's where they talk business. So you know, it's like, you know, these complete architecturally designed you know, displays or stands or booths or sections, whatever they call it. And it's just so involved. And boy, I'd much rather go to like, you know, a Poughkeepsie convention where you pay $10, and then, you know, there's like 200 vendors and you could actually buy some used comics, you know. But you know, and there's new comics and there's creators and there's all that other crap. But yeah, I mean, look, one good thing is that there's an audience and it's growing and it's healthy, you know, and it's been stable for many years, and you know, for this kind of stuff. Um, the other thing is like the drift, right? It's just getting farther and farther away from comics, you know, whether it's Marvel and DC comics or anything, you know, and it's just like, you know, going in so many directions. Like there was food products, you know, that are like
Well,
superhero.
Steve Urena, from our interview last week, which I just finished editing, and I just got to run it and then upload it to
Yeah,
tomorrow.
that was this
Towards
zombie
the
game.
Yep, zombie. He, you know, we asked him like future of comics, in, you know, in our little, Q&A, and you know, he was right out of the gate. He's like, yeah, you know, all these movies coming out in these movie theaters about all these comic book stuffs, and there's no sales point for buying comics at the movie theater. And I just thought that was just, you know, that's so telling of how these corporations really want nothing to do with the art form comics. They just want it as the advertising pamphlet. That's all it is to them.
Well, they do.
So
Yeah, they might get around to that. You know, in my local theater, when you're buying your ticket, there is a merch stand now where you can buy your Nightmare Before Christmas, mugs and sweatshirts and stuff. So, I could see, them adding, maybe some graphic novels there or some, comic related merchandise.
Maybe they're afraid of like theft and loitering is why they don't do it. Is, if you think about it, like if you have a whole bunch of people standing in the lobby, just reading comics, and I mean, you would have to, I mean, hopefully you would do it. You would have that place where it was in the, you had already bought the tickets. So it wasn't like you were, loitering in the sense of like,
Yeah, I mean,
haven't
when it
even bought a
comes to these
ticket,
movies,
but,
I,
there's
I'm
also
old.
the theft part of it too.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, everything's on camera now, but I'm old enough to remember when they used to have programs, right? So when you go to a play, in the city, you get a playbill with that has like all the actors and the director, and it has a bunch of ads, and it has the history of it and a foreword and photos, and people collect them and everything. And we have the program for the premiere of the heavy metal movie. I stuck it up on eBay. I don't think I sold it, but I was just trying to get like $15 for it at this point. But you could do that with any movie and turn the program turns into a collectible. Especially if it's a comic related movie, or even not, but if it's just like some art and story, that, I mean, people would do that for Harry Potter. If you're a fan, you're just like, dying to have more content of your
I
of
don't
your
know. I don't know if I completely agree with that. I think it might be another aging out process that, because, one of the biggest things in society that's been locking in and trending slowly, if anything, is minimalism, is not having a lot of things. The physicality of ownership means that, and the more and more stuff you have, the larger your house. And you talk to most young people, being in their 20s
yeah,
and 30s, and the prospects that they feel about getting a home,
right.
it's less. Some
They, they,
most of the feelings are less than zero.
yeah, the 20 something,
Priority, and
well, they have a
so
dorm.
not trying to jam up some basement, with a whole bunch of man cave
Well,
memorabilia.
that's not your comics.
That's
That's not
our
your average
generation. That's
Yeah, I mean, that's maybe like the non-comic folks out there, but the comic folks out there are hoarders. The collectors are hoarders. They think something's going to go up in value. Sometimes it does. There's a guy at my school, a school aide, who is collecting Funko Pops, and he's showing me all these stuff every day because he knows I'm into comics, and I'm like, yeah, but I'm not into Funko Pops, but but I understand, like, he's really enthused about it, and he keeps buying these like entire collections, and he shows me, look, see all this? It shows me a photo. There's like 20 or 30 there. I'm like, yeah. He's like, yeah, I only paid 150 for it, or $75 or whatever. Got this great deal, and I'm like, yeah, but where are you putting it all? Like, what? Do you have space for all that? So, it is a space thing, especially with something like a Funko Pop. They're a little box that's like, rectangular prism shape, and they take up some room. If you have like 10, 20, 30 of them, they take up a whole wall. And maybe they appreciate in value and you sell it for more, but it's not like a toy that a kid can play with or anything. It just sits there in a box, and if you take it out of the box, you're an idiot, because it's not going to be in mint condition. But on the other hand, like, some of them, they make you look in the box because they're like blind box, and you don't know what's in there. Like, there might be a T-shirt in there also, or there might be a poster or something. So yeah, they get you a million different ways coming and going.
well. Did you see Eli Schwab on his Instagram post I saw this morning? Is he went to the Paranoia, R. Crumb's Paranoia art exhibit, and actually got to spend, I think, maybe a minute or two and got a photo op with the man himself, R. Crumb. So congratulations to,
This was a
ticket.
paranoia. What's the paranoia
Yeah,
exhibit? I
isn't that
thought
the
it was
night?
his book tour
Huh?
right now. Yeah, right now he has a biography out. It came out
It's
just a
not
couple months.
his. It's yeah, but that's not his
Oh, you mean
book.
the new
That's Dan.
Fangraph
Yeah, it's the
book?
new. Yeah, the
Oh,
art.
okay.
They had an art gallery show. So I'm assuming. So have you gotten any notifications on? Because you pre-bought copies for both of us, right?
Yeah, yeah. I think I bought myself two, and I bought you one. I don't remember,
Okay.
but yeah, when it
All right.
comes, it
You
comes.
haven't gotten a note. You haven't gotten a notification yet. Let's
No,
see.
I
I gotta
haven't.
check on.
Yeah,
All right.
I know we're good though. All right, so
Better be.
I have this Duke sketch, and it isn't doing anything either here. And I wanted to ask, should Duke have? I have this other sketch of him where he's got a tattoo on his chest of the Duke of Eda bat, and is that going to be a thing where I have to draw it in now?
Is that
The
what you're
Duke.
working on right now? Yeah,
Well,
this is
this
what
is
you're working
already
on.
done. I just kind of finished it out. I was just tightening it up, so I could take a photo of it now and bring it over and put this on the Duke zine page. If it makes sense. I guess that's what I'll do. I'll take my camera. We have Batmerk, the metal cartoonist, online, and he says R. Crumb is a beast. Still have to pick up his Bible books, and Bisley has a Bible book. I didn't know that. Raz 555 is there. Howdy Raz. And somebody is telling Batmerk that don't bother trying to go to the Javits. It is Dante's Inferno trying to get there. I guess cabs don't really go there. I guess that's what he's talking about. Yeah, I mean, on the Saturday, I expect that the New York Comic Con is just elbow to elbow with, with other people just trying to wait online and get stuff and, do the activities or whatever. But I'd still like to see what Artist Alley looks like because it's been a while for sure. And Kurt, you brought up the soup. Well, so I saw a couple of things since we spoke last, and I did see Superman movie at home here. My wife rented it for like $4.99 or something, unbeknownst to me. Actually, she has like Amazon like points, so I don't even think we paid anything for it. But can I just give you my review of the new Superman movie right now?
Yeah, go for it.
It sucks.
Oh.
It's
I
horrible.
did hear. Yeah, I did hear that. That's what every time I kept thinking I was going to go and see it. Yeah,
Don't.
it.
Yeah. No.
People,
It's
it's a
so bad.
shame. It's
Yeah.
a shame.
It is so god awful. I can't even explain. It's just
Well,
ponderous.
they did wonders with that trailer because that trailer really did lock me in for the first like 2 weeks that trailer ran. I was like, holy shit, man, that's something going on. And then a buddy of mine saw it before, and then we were supposed to go see it, and then he called me. He's like, "Hey, do you really want to go?" And I was like, "Yeah, I did." He's like, "It's nothing like the trailer." I was like, "Fuck."
Yeah. I mean, there's a dog, super dog, Crypto the super dog. So right off the bat, it's getting super corny. But when the movie first came out, all the buzz I was hearing were people that were upset that it was taking political shots at this one or that one. There was, I think, a country that was invading another country, and it was supposed to be a commentary on the Israel conflict, and people were reading into it and everything. They were also showing like Lex Luthor, he was doing this like disinformation thing, which was really like, bad faith, disingenuous disinformation about, what Superman's parents' message to him was. And I just could not believe, like, first of all, I didn't like the casting on Lois Lane. She was, she's kind of nice, but she just didn't look like, like what was her name? The most famous Lois Lane reform, Margot Kidder. I was gonna say Nicole Kidder,
Yeah,
but Margot Kidder, right? There's like,
yeah.
you know, didn't hold a candle to that, and I don't know. She didn't seem like she had the pizzazz or something. Now the Superman guy did. I mean, he's very telegenic, and he went through a lot of like expressions and faces, and but it was unbelievably bad. The dialogue, the pacing, the concepts. The Green Lantern was really annoying. The Hawk Girl was kind of like short, and I mean I felt like like distractingly short. And then they had this Mr. Terrific guy who was good on screen, but I never heard of him in the comics. Have you? Is that a thing? Am I really behind the
Uh,
times on Mr. Terrific?
I never, other than the movies, never even read a Superman comic. Not even Death of Superman.
No, I think he's like a Justice League character or something.
Never, no,
I don't know.
no.
So it was Hawk Girl, Green Lantern, and Mr. Terrific that come to help Superman. Anyway, it was it was boring at some points. It was, the Fortress of Solitude was super corny and like just he's got robots in there. Lex Luthor just like hacked his way in. It was just unbelievable.
It's just so it's of the time, like you know.
No,
Everybody has to include everybody. That's the fucking problem with anything being made nowadays. It's also the reason I'm falling deeper and deeper in love with indie comic books and indie creators, because the indie comics that I keep coming across, especially ones once again with Power Pulp Comics, it's a one-on-one relationship. That's what we don't fucking have with any of this stuff now, Jake. This is why I don't engage with you in a conversation about it, because it sounds like is just two old guys aged the fuck out. God bless. In having not stayed with this or stayed with that, or don't you get with no. When we were growing up, comics and entertainment was a one-to-one relationship. It was, it was just about boys being boys and playing amongst boys and in the yard and out in the woods, and you were this character and that character, and let's play GI Joes. It's all that's what we were formulated on, and now there's nobody in the popular culture that wants to touch any of that with a stick. They just don't want to. One thing I do have to say is Deathstalker 5 is in the movie theaters. So go to Fandango to see what location. There's a location that's like an hour from me, but it's like all the running times are like 9 and 10 o'clock. And I have, being an old guy, I don't like driving at night. And I sure as hell, I would pay to get in and end up just sleeping there. But I was so excited that because I thought it was only going to be like a one-nighter with like when Mandy came out, Nicolas Cage's Mandy, and my buddy literally called me like 3 hours before this freaking thing was on, an hour away from us. We jumped in the car and went to check it out. But to give a sword and sorcery character and movie 5 days for an evening, I think it was one or maybe two times an evening. It to me was just, it was amazing. I was like, wow, there's some hope for society.
Yeah, well, yeah, niche oriented. It sounds like a limited release, right? Only.
Well, it's in the movie theaters for 5 days, and then it'll go to what's some streaming platform. But that's good. That's a good thing to see, because you're talking about something that is super one-to-one ratio. I mean, they're leaning into the whole Dungeons and Dragons thing. And what's his name? Preston. some guy, what's his name, is one of the characters. So I think he's lending himself for. Just want to get this guy's name. Patton Oswalt. Sorry, yeah, Patton Oswalt's in it. So you know, I mean, there's rationale that's coming about, but I just think, in my opinion, if you're going to talk comics, keep pulp culture out of it. It doesn't make any sense anymore. It just does. I mean, I'm just saying for me, I'm not trying to put this on you. I mean, you can keep showing up every Sunday and tell me what thing you've watched, which everyone you've watched for the last 50 of them that you've watched over the last 3 years, they sucked. That was exactly your words. You know, you want to hear the review of it? Yes, Jake, it sucked. So it's like, I'm not surprised. I don't want to be the guy be like, don't do it, don't do it, don't watch it, don't watch Superman. You know, because everybody should go and have.
It says time. From the creators of Psycho Gorman and The Void, neither which I've heard of, Deathstalker, and it kind of looks like a low budget poster. The logo is cool. I'm looking in theaters near me and it says none. So I don't know if I'm going to get a chance to see it. That was Regal. There's a Regal Cinema by me, but there's also an AMC, which I'll look at. Yeah, I don't know. I'll probably just have to catch it on streaming. Yeah, so I could give a good review, and I know this is going to make you grind your teeth, but just hear me, okay? You know, because I go on Disney Plus on my system, and I'm like, you know, I'm like, who is even paying for a password for this? And it turns out my daughter has a friend, and we just plugged in her thing, and I guess, you know, it just works. So I you know, I was looking on Disney to see if I was all caught up on you know, on anything good, and it turns out that I wanted to see, you know what I was really checking, Kurt? I was really checking to see the quality of the animation, because you and I have been talking about like automation and AI and how, you know, animation studios are changing now, which is true. And so I wanted to see the quality of animation for new animated series that were on TV. And so, you know, where else do you look but Disney? So I plugged in this thing, and what pops up, this big promo pops up, and they're like, Jake, check out the Marvel Zombies. And I'm like, oh God. I said, you know, that I have no interest in the comic. I know this is crazy. Like, you know, Thor is a zombie, Captain America's a zombie. They're all zombies. I couldn't believe it, how good it was. Now I'm talking about the animation, and then the story sucked me in too. And I ended up watching all 4 episodes, and they're about, I think, maybe like 40 minutes a piece, something like that. And it was actually a good story. And I know this is going to, you know, rub you the wrong way, because it centers around Ms. Marvel, the new, like, you know, teenage Muslim Marvel, you know, character girl who's got the power to like make these like diamondy cubes out of anything. And she's teamed up with like, you know, teenage Hawkeye girl and one other, you know, character I can't remember. And but the world is going post-apocalyptic because a virus has taken over, and the whole world is blown up, and, you know, like wasteland landscape and everything. So that was kind of cool. But what got me interested is like, yeah, so they turning all the Marvel superheroes into bad guys that you fear and that you hate, and like, you know, Captain America is the worst, and then they brought in all these characters that Marvel is pushing nowadays, like the Black Widow, what the sister, the White Widow rather, the Red Guardian, which is the Russian guy, you know, and you know, Ghost. What's his name? He used to be Blade, but now he's like Moon Knight / Blade.
Dude, so you're talking. I have no idea what you're talking about. I mean,
right. Well, anyway, long story short.
No clue of what you're talking about.
Long story short. long story short, and we can talk about like commercial animation right now. But long story short, Marvel
Well, hold
Zombies
on a second.
was
Finish up
surprising.
when you finish up your rant. When you finish up your rant, let's go to the comments because Raz and Batmerk are making some really great comments. So go ahead, finish up. Finish up.
Yeah, so long story short is I was surprisingly impressed with Marvel Zombies animated series on Disney Plus. I found myself watching one to the other, and you know the one thing that's cool about it is like whoever was writing it, they eventually just kill everybody. You know, like everybody's gonna die eventually, and the whole thing is like really like Shakespearean. The Scarlet Witch is like is controlling all these zombies and all that. And I found myself liking it, and you know, it was over pretty quick, 4 episodes, but the quality of animation is taking a turn for the better. And I've been talking to you, Kurt, a long time about this. Is why don't we have better 2D animation in the world so that we can take comics and turn them into features, you know, whether it's a series or a movie, and they're actually doing that now. And you know, as much as you might hate Marvel or Disney or these characters, you know, the quality of animation has taken a turn for the better, and I wanted to call that out. So now you can read the comment.
Okay. No, I wanted you to do that. You're better
Okay,
than me. You have
so
the
the
comments.
comment: Psycho Gorman is hilarious. The director uses tons of puppets and practical effects in his films. Kostansky is like a modern Jim Henson. Um, this says Deathstalker is coming to DVD in December. Wait, I'm reading out of order here. Maybe I should read this in order. Oh boy, going all the way up. Okay. Simon Weasley's take on the Bible is awe-inspiring. Uh-huh. I haven't seen that. It was really cheeseball. I fell asleep halfway through. You got to refer to what you're talking about because the conversation moves so fast. Rumor has it Gunn is getting let go allegedly because of the box office results. That I do know. They're talking about James Gunn, the director of the Superman. Um, Terry Hatcher was my favorite Lois Lane. Yes, that's a good one. Yeah, totally. If it doesn't look like a Kurt Swan Superman comic, I never show up. Superman 78 looked like it was drawn by Swan. I think Superman 78 is referring to Christopher Reeves. Gunn always makes everything into a team. Yeah, well, this way they can have spin offs and merch and everything. But the Green Lantern was particularly awful, I thought. Exactly. Indie comics, and if anything, maybe a Crow, Faust film, etc. Well, the Crow was made.
No.
I think Faust was made, but if it was, it
Yeah.
was extremely low budget. I'm at work, so
Straight
I can't
to
do
VHS.
it. I work night. Oh, straight to VHS. Yeah, I doubt if I even want to see it. Can you imagine the Zap Comics guys thinking, "Gee, I sure hope the girls like this stuff." Uh, right. Right. Well, they were trying to display as many sacred cows as they could. Deathstalker's coming to DVD. Slash is the executive producer and does the music for Deathstalker, apparently. They did a comic for it. I reviewed it on my channel. It was fun. So that's Batmer, the metal cartoonist. Psycho Gorman is hilarious. We spoke about that, puppets and effects. And when will Disney Plus produce a version of Horny Biker Slut? I think the question there is when will they produce a version of Cherry Pop Tart? Because you
Hey.
know that did kind of get a little more mainstream among the comic world people. You know, even though it was like an X-rated Archie parody, but Horny Bike Slut is great. John Howard, they're just like completely inappropriate. So, um, but if you ever see a copy, I would pick it up and like marvel at this like insane cartoony cross hatching style that he's got. But you know, definitely for adults only. Um, so don't let your kid get a hold of that. You'll warp their mind. That's what happened to me at a young age. I found some zaps when I was way far too young. That's what happens when you grow up on a hippie commune. But yeah. So if anybody wants to, take a side in the debate, check out Marvel Zombies. Love it or hate it, let us know. Another thing I watched was, I tooled around with some of these Star Wars things. It's like 3D animation and series, so it's like, kind of like a faster 3D animation style. There was one called like Underworld, which had 4 episodes, and I watched it all the way to the end, but only the first 2 episodes were any good, in my opinion. They had this like this relatable character, and then they switched in the middle to some other characters that are just like, they have all these Star Wars bar characters like Greedo and this guy, that guy, and they're just turning every one of them into their own little world. So, it gets, I don't know. And the Star Wars, it's a thing. They're making a lot of money. Lucasfilm, Disney, Disney is definitely, they're definitely putting resources on it. You got all these little, Clone War things and mini movies and mini series and all that. It just goes on and on. So I guess it's good. I don't know.
Yeah,
I like
Primal is Genjetti. What's his what's his name? It's a Russian last name. But Primal is an awesome comic, a cartoon. On
and
it was started on Adult Swim. Gendry.
Yeah.
Gendry.
Do I know what Primal is? Primal cartoon. Let me just get a screenshot over here so we can reference what we're talking about. Oh, it's on Adult Swim. Okay. Oh wow, yeah. Oh, that's interesting. Looks like a caveman with a dinosaur and everything.
Yep.
Right. All right. I'll check that out if I can get it on a certain channel. All right, enough's enough. I'm going to import this picture of the Duke and put this in. I need to start getting onto the white laptop. So let me get my camera out and we're gonna go high res here. That means zoom in all the way. Got the shot. And now I'm going to email it to myself, put it on the jump drive. Kind of at an angle. The lighting is kind of inconsistent too. I'm gonna have to redo. I just got this one downlight, so you got to be real careful. Once it's real shiny, I'm gonna tilt it up a little. Oh, Kurt, check out what I found on eBay. I have an alert for this. So this is the cover of Startling Detective from November of 1960. And this is the one issue that I'm missing that has my mother on the cover.
Oh,
age
wow.
20. She was briefly a model, and she did a couple of Startling Detective covers and a couple of insides too. I'll never know which ones she did the insides to, but on the covers I could recognize her, and she's this one right here in the red.
In the red.
So I put a bid on it. Hopefully nobody sees this and outbids me. Nobody else would care. It's my mother. Leave it alone, guys. If you're gonna snipe it, you're just kidding me, bastards. Because I have all the other ones of my mom, and now that we got the new house, I want us to frame them and hang them up around one of these rooms. All right, what else? So I have this sketchbook here. I wanted to see what else is in here that might be of. I started to ink Pitch Blend with the rectifiers, but that's the Company Man story, which we'll get to later. This is going to be Shadow. We have these kind of like no names. This is also Pitch Blend here, and this is inked and colored, so this is ready to go. I worked on this a little bit. Alex was asking for like pictures of like the flying vehicles and the robots and stuff. So I brought this out a little bit in inks. It's Pitch Blend in a flying vehicle of the future.
That's cool. That's super cool.
Here I have some of the drone designs, and I made some kind of crazy Jake notes here. Let's see. Yeah, so all these drones. See, one thing I want to have, especially in the Duke sequence. I hope Alex is drawing it in. Is that I think in the future that flying drones are just going to be everywhere, good and bad, and
all the time.
yeah,
dropping
because
pizzas, dropping pizzas and Nikes.
right. But in terms of war, we can already see now in the Russia Ukraine war that and also the Israel Gaza thing that they're using drones now to shoot people, to to deliver bomb, to deliver a C4 explosion, like take out a tank. And once you're going that direction, there's no going back. It's just a matter of how much volume you can get, on your side, And so, I figure 100 years in the future, it's going to be on both sides. So the Duke, when he's infiltrating the Dehuberton fortress, is going to have a complement of drones following him. It was also something that they had in the Superman movie with the Mr. Terrific character. He was like on a flying chair, and he had like all these drones that were circling him, doing his bidding. So other people are starting to think of it besides me, but I think it's going to be just a staple in um, in sci-fi because it's becoming a staple in real life. Do you want me to send this to you also? This pencil sketch?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hopefully this works this time. So this is the Duke sketch with gun. And I'm sending it full res, which is 3.4 megs. I should have cropped this first. I would have saved some space. Oh well. Live and learn. So Kurt, I also, when I was on Disney or Marvel, whatever you call it, I also checked out the latest reboot of the animated Spider-Man series. And on that one, I'm going to give it a mixed review. They did a reboot of young Peter Parker in high school getting bit by the radioactive spider. It's kind of like this clean animation style that might remind people of Bruce Timm's Batman. But and the animation's great, especially the backgrounds. You could tell that they're using AI, that they're taking photos, and this is the real interesting thing. I know that Kurt and I had this like call the other day where we were arguing the merits of AI assisted animation production, and I really took Kurt's criticism to heart, which I fully agree with. If you can see that it's AI, then you've already lost. You've already losing the game. You have to make your animation so it doesn't look AI assisted as much as possible. And what they're doing in this new Spider-Man reboot, which is called Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, is they're using it for the backgrounds, and they're clearly taking live action like city scenes and just making it into cartoon buildings, which just saving them all of the time and trouble of doing any backgrounds whatsoever. It's just like the computer is doing it all, and it looks so real. The cars, the trains, the elevated trains, the stores, the buildings. And I'm sure it's taking away a lot of drudgery work. I don't know how much cleanup it needs by humans, but it is recognizable. And I think we saw all this in the Spider-Man Spider-Verse movies. They were combining all these computer animation 3D models with 2D models and having a lot of fun doing all these different styles. But now we're seeing it like on streaming TV, programs, and it's changing. It's definitely changing the game. There's no question about it. So I want to say the new Spider-Man. It's kind of I don't know. It's maybe like 3 star, 2.5 stars out of 5. The story doesn't really get me, and it's kind of I think geared towards young adult. But
They all are. They all are. Why do you keep acting like they sat down and made something for a 55 and plus year old person?
Well, it's what
They don't
I
give two
mean.
shits about us.
No,
They don't.
Marvel Zombies was very gory. They had beheadings and
Yeah, but kids
sloshing,
love
gory
that.
blood everywhere.
There's a lot of things that kids are never going to age out of. You know what I mean? It's just primal growing up. You know what I mean? You want to see all of these things you're taboo or you don't want to see. But I definitely don't believe they're making any of that stuff. Disney, you and I are not on their radar. They are
No, it's
not
not. It's not us. But I'm saying, like, the skewing even younger. With the teeny boppers, right? As opposed to, like, maybe they have a demographic for like 18 to 35 or something. Well, this would probably be more like,
well, no,
15
they want
to
to.
25.
Yes, that's because that's the magic spot. Is you got to get the 13 to 15 is when things emotionally lock in, right, on you. You know what I mean? If it wasn't for Thundar the Barbarian and Conan comics and Ninja magazines, I'd have been somebody else. Maybe I would be a big DC, Justice League and all that kind of stuff. But you're not captivating a new audience when after the age of 25. That's a very unless it is tied to something primal from their teens, their developing adolescent teens. It's clinically proven because by the time you're 25 years old, your brain is solidified and you are now, you're fully formed as an adult.
Yeah.
And so now then you're out of college and you're trying to pay off debts, you're trying to get a job, you're trying to climb the ladder, you're trying to get a house, you're trying to pay your mortgage, trying to get a wife or a husband or whatever it is. It's not what Disney. That's why I do not care for Disney at all. They're not going to ever sit down and make anything for me. And so I don't even bother spending the time even considering anything that's on that platform or that goes around it. I just
See,
don't
folks,
because
I told you he was grumpy.
I
Yeah,
hate what?
well,
I'm not grumpy. I'm not grumpy.
I'm a
It's just the
school
truth.
teacher, so I have to not only keep my finger on the pulse of what people are watching, but I also want to know the quality of animation production, which was why I went in there in the first place. Um, and I was kind of closed-minded about the Marvel Zombies, having seen it in the comics. But having seen it as the streaming thing and getting sucked into it, yeah, I would give it a good review. I don't know how other people feel, but I knew.
Fucking lonesome. Where did he go? Messing around with shit. He's banging into his bloody old computer. Be the death of us all. Lost ya. A moment of silence, everybody. So I'm gonna take a moment while we're waiting for Jake to come back on. He's getting back on there. Where was I? Oh, yeah. Let me just get. So right now I am working on World Anthology, number one, over 200 pages, black and white. This is just this was my mock-up print, which I do have for sale. 10 of them have been bought. This is going to be an artifact because once the real deal is done and out in the wild, there will be no way to get a hold of these copies. So there's 10 people out there that have copies of this. But really exciting thing is yesterday I finished the full color cover. So the cover is a 17 by 22 full color. I use a lot of these paintbrush markers that I'm really getting into and I'm loving. So super excited to put this together. I only have 30 spot illustrations, which are these little, actually, you can see them here. I have a follow-up story to the prose and illustration, Crom. So I have to do all these little inset illustrations of characters and objects and locations. So this was Crom in the Warlock of Shardor, which is in my first Crom 2024 collected, which is my 4 Crom stories, the originals, the OGs from Gardner Fox and John Guenta and Jack Katz, and then a 30-page pulp story that was converted from a 1950 story, 52 story that Fox wrote that just really needed name changes and some technology to just fall back down into some sorcery stuff. And, you know, we're keeping Fox's voice alive in you know, the Crom material that's being produced. So I am getting super close. I run a channel that gives updates and shares everything going on. It's called Crom the Barbarian. It's on YouTube. And there's also a website, cromthebarbarian.com. So looks like Jake's coming back. Here he comes, or he is. So just keep aware that these are, this is coming about very soon. I'm anticipating a early November release of Crom Anthology #1, over 220-ish pages, black and white, sword and sorcery goodness. So be on the lookout for that. Instagram, if you're on it, is just Kurt Brugel. So I do a lot of updates. So just be sure you're following that. Jake, welcome back. What happened there, buddy?
I don't know. I think my computer got overtaxed. Yes, the throughput, and maybe you know, the cache built up too much and it just
crashed. The cache,
yes,
the cache crashed. The cache crashed.
The buffer. So I see there has been a couple comments though, so that's a good time for you to plug all your Crom stuff. That's great. I'm picking up the Conan comics and so Primal's the best show in 10 years. My mother is very likable. Thank you. Yes, when she was 20, she was very good looking. When she was 75, not as much. In the future, drones will be everywhere. Sounds like there's not going to be a future. Yeah, welcome to my nightmare. Raz had to go. Thanks for popping in, Raz. This says they're changing a lot of the characters due to public domain. The more they change characters, the less the corporations have to pay the creators' estates. Yep. Yeah, I mean, that's always been the case. You know, Mickey Mouse was created so that they didn't have to, because Walt Disney didn't have the license to Oswald the Rabbit. It was paid for hire. So same thing with Hello Kitty. That was created because the Japanese merchandise guy was paying all of the what was he paying? He was paying the Charlie Brown Peanuts people to make products, and so he said, I'm going to make my own, and he developed Hello Kitty. So everybody wants to own their own licensing. Highly recommend Crom Collected. All right, yeah. So yeah, I'm gonna try to segue over to my white computer. I'm just waiting for this email to come where I can get that Duke sketch I made. It's still not coming in. I guess I gotta try to send it again. Crazy, right? Oh wait, last time I think you sent it to me. That's the only way I got it. Can you check to see if you got that Duke email I sent? Because for some reason, from my phone to my computer is not working today. It's in my sent box, I'm sure.
Check your sent box, but no.
No, it's not there. All right, let's try this again. And this time I'm gonna crop it so we'll save some space here. It just kind of trails off on the bottom, but let's hit send. And this is gonna need some definite EQing. I should have scanned this on the scanner, but
yep. Charvel's pencils just came through.
Oh, the first one I sent.
Yeah, in the bathroom up against the door. Do you want me to resend that
Yeah.
to you? Or?
No, I have that already.
All right, you have that. Okay.
All right, and so this is with gun sketch. All right.
All right,
And
I
we
have to
did
jump.
all
I have to jump out. I got to run downstairs and get a pen. I forgot a pen downstairs.
No
Oh wait,
problem.
no, wait a second. I might have. Wait a second. I might have it right here. I did bring my drawing
So
box up.
I will show.
Number
In the
5.
meantime,
Nope. Gotta go back downstairs. I'll be right back.
okay. So guys, since Kurt's not here, I'm gonna tell you something that Kurt gets very, very spicy about. He doesn't like it, but I've been putting my sketches into AI, and I got I was trying the new Sora program. Sora pretty much sucks. But look, this is just a sketch I made of Elavina 2022, and you put it into AI and it animates it. And a lot of times it sucks and you have to discard it and it's a waste of time, a lot of time. But this one I thought was pretty good because it looks like the face and you're seeing it in a couple different angles. And I'm very impressed with this. Um, we have to hurry up because when Kurt comes back, he's going to get mad. This is the two characters that are going to be. This is during the turmoil. It's called Turmoil on the Planet of the Pleasure Bots, and this is Sarge and Arroyo. I don't like how they change her face. They make her look really prettied up, and I had her looking kind of like gruff. And you can see, like, I asked it to just animate and colorize, and they did. They add all this crazy background. But Kurt is so against this AI. He's like, Jake, don't do it. So I'm just doing this because he's not here. When he comes back, we'll hide it away. When the cat's away, the mice will play. I'll just show one more here. All right, I think I hear he's back. Don't say anything. All right, so yeah, Kurt, I was just updating them on the end of the world timeline, just keeping everybody updated. Nothing special.
No.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You're doing the Elavina sketch there. I see.
Yeah, I mean these are all the tiles from the index. Holy shit!
Yeah, that.
I just got 100.
What
I
are
just
they?
got a bunch of emails from you.
Oh,
So I did
they're
get
coming in
Duke
now.
sketch, yeah, Charvel, yeah. So
All right, finally.
I think the magic was crashing that system there.
Yeah, the internet is like in fits and starts. I think is what's happening. Duke sketch with gun. So yeah, just throw out the duplicates so you don't bog down your computer, because these things are like 3.5 megs a piece, and that adds up. Once I save them, I just delete the email anyway, so that it doesn't take up the space in your attachments folder. And this is the other Charvel, which we already have, so I can toss that too. All right. All right, I think I have enough to bring over now. I have text and graphics. I just have to move them over onto the Lexar jump drive I have. So, Duke sketch with gun. The text for Charvel casualties. The text to import to Doom. Okay, we got everything. All right, finally, I can start this up. My 20-something-year-old laptop. And so, have you spoken to Alex besides the group text we had? Because I was wondering when he's going to be on for an update.
As soon as he gets those pages to me.
Okay. And he's shooting for all 11 pages, and then you're going to like have a pass at them doing inks and they're just doing like added tones and stuff.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, once again, I don't agree to anything until I physically have it in hand. So I don't know. I'm very familiar with his work. I just don't want to commit to, yeah, I'm going to do this or I'm going to do that. It's also going to be based on time and how many pages that he's able to get by the end of the
October.
month.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, he sounded like he was game to try to have it all done by October 30th. So that sounds like we're all on the same page. Alex is cool dude in a loose mood. All right, I got my Lexar here. So now if we point this down a little bit more, we can see where we're at. I'm going to rename this .jpeg. I think this saves as a JPEG. And then bring all this stuff over. Yes. Where did it go? Oh, there it is. Okay. Now I'm going to copy all this stuff to the drive. We got the Duke sketch with gun. We have the text. I think, did I send you a sketch that was tiled and needed to be put together? I think of Hellclaw. Of Hellclaw.
Not yet. We have been talking about me doing that for you based on larger drawings that you're scanning.
Okay, I thought I sent you the pieces of that. But maybe not. Yeah,
I don't have any tiled work of Hellclaw.
Okay. That means I didn't send it to you. So I think I'm bringing it in to my computer here now. But there's a nice Hellclaw drawing. Hellclaw, I call it Hellclaw EPScan because it's done on the Epson. And I have the Marauders. We have a lot to choose from here for zine pages. Like we could have 2 pages leading into the Duke because we sorry the casualties, because we have the little bit about the Marauders. We have sketches about the Marauders. We could show them. Dr. Bruno Marauder and his wife / daughter Bianca. Oops, did I say that? Yes, I did. All right. So, yeah, that's what's up. She finds out that she thinks she's his. Well, she was his wife, but her earlier origin is that she was one of his daughters through a broodmare that he raised and then married. Yeah, weird stuff. Okay, let's open up Photoshop and let's go to town on these graphics first, and then once they're EQ'd up, we can bring them into Quark and start laying the text around them. And it's 12 o'clock now, so we got some time to do that. After all of our jockeying and positioning and arguing and debating, we have some now just production time to grind. So I'm opening up Photoshop. And the Duke and the casualties are the first priority. Now, these I have more than one sketch for the Duke. I have 3 actually. And some of them might be kind of not repetitive, but similar. But we'll use them all for something.
Eventually.
And yeah. And leading into we wrote a lot about the Duke depending on the era, right? There's young Duke and old Duke, and Alex is taking on like 2 Dukes at once on his 11 pager. All right, so if you can look at my screen for a moment, we have this Duke sketch and this Duke sketch. And there's probably no sense in putting them both in the page, right? Because, oh, I don't know, this one isn't showing up as well. Let me change the
Yeah, I can't
angle.
see the second one. Did you send it to me in the
Yeah,
email?
yeah, you have
You
both of
sent both of
these.
them.
Yeah, what is going on here? This is going through there. I got to be really careful not to detach the power cord, but can't open
Now you
this
sent
up.
me the same one. I have the same
Yeah, I sent it
two
twice because
separate,
it
but
wasn't.
they're the same file.
Well, the one was like a close up of his face, and
Yeah,
I'm
but I
gonna
only
first.
got one. I only got one version twice. That's all for both of the emails. They were sent twice. Charvel as well. Were both. There's
Well,
a two in that.
yeah, I thought I sent you this a long time ago, but the other day. So there's a close up of his head. I gotta get a better
Well, I
angle
have
on this.
I have that,
You
and then
have
there's a
this,
big. Well, this one here. I mean, I was working
right?
on a
Well,
color one until this one here.
right. That was yeah. So I scanned it on the Epson as opposed to the camera, and that has like all
Uh,
three at the same time. I was gonna break these apart and put close up of his head and then one of his body. Although I could do this one or this one. I guess they're kind of similar. Duke sketch with gun that I just finished here. Here he is with his arms out, no gun. But what's the difference at the end of the day? This one has the tattoo on, and I could I guess I'll just pick one. This one has to be EQ'd so that we can see some better contrast here. I'm just going to keep doing this in Photoshop until it's nice. The you can really just see the texture of the paper here, and sometimes the thing to do is to just leave the texture of the paper in, but I'm going to check out my values here. Yeah. Okay, I want to lock these values in and lighten these other values. Again, here's where we want to lock in. Everything else goes up, 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 up.
oh, before I forget, have you ever heard the cover of Salisbury Hill by Lou Reed?
No, the Peter Gabriel song?
Yep. Holy shit. It was amazing. And then it was on NPR, I think it was, but in the morning and like early, like I was out around 7 or something. And I think the song after was a Peter Gabriel doing a later song by Lou Reed. So
They
I
were
got it.
trading
That
off.
was, yeah, but um, the guitar alone. I mean, I always loved Lou Reed's voice. You know, just the way he just spoke his word as songs. You
Yeah.
know, it wasn't. You know, it just that. But then the droning of the Velvet Underground. But then his like, you know, the like machine gun kind of like texturing that he had with his
Yeah.
freaking great. I
Well,
mean,
have you ever heard his early days? Do you know his
before he
origin
was,
story?
yeah, he was a pop song writer. He was like in a like a group or whatever. He would just go there and they'd pay him for the day, and they would have to write pop songs, right?
It wasn't necessarily pop songs so much as it was like I think like hot rod songs and like like formulaic trendy
It was like
songs.
advertising, some kind of like advertising. company or something that was just
No,
hiring
it was.
musicians to the.
I think it was a schlock label,
Oh
but
yeah.
everything that I'm remembering incorrectly, and
Mm-hmm.
you can find out on when Lou Reed died, WFMU played the ultimate retrospective of his early stuff, and I'm gonna see if
Wow.
I can find a link to it because I need to go back because
Yeah.
it didn't sound like anything he did later, but it had this very like you know identifying Lou Reed feel to it as well. Um, yeah, so 2013 Lou Reed tribute. Here it is. I'm gonna put this up on the screen. If you Google this, Dave the Spaz is the name of the DJ, and his show is called Music to Spaz by. And if you look at the archive from
Can you move it up? Can
October,
you move your camera up?
yeah,
Or
okay,
you,
here we go.
is that on YouTube? Is that on YouTube?
No, it's on the web. So this is his whole archives here, and I have to find the Lou Reed tribute on page. Lou Reed, because this is when he died. Here we go. Okay, November 7th, 2013, Lou Reed tribute. And I'm going to click, so you could just click the pop up player. And I don't know if there's a way to download this. You might, if anybody wants the show, you might have to rip it. One thing about Dave the Spaz, he talks a lot in between songs, like a lot. So you got to just hit like fast forward 30 seconds or fast forward 10 seconds. But um, here you go. The Lou Reed
Don't play
tribute.
it. You're
No.
not. You can't play it. All right.
All right, here. So the Lou Reed tribute, it has Lewis Reed. He was under the name Lewis Reed, the All Night Workers, the Roughnecks, the All Night Workers, the Jades, the Intimates, the Surfsiders, the Beach Nuts, Lewis Reed, the Primitives, the Jades, the Emeralds, and Sun Ra is, I think this is unrelated. So this is where the regular show turns into the tribute. So the last half of the show is a tribute, and you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 11 songs from the early days of Lou Reed before he starts playing some underground, some Velvet Underground stuff, and then he finished off with a Lou Reed solo song. But this is what you want to download, folks. It's November 7th, 2013 playlist from Dave the Spaz and Music to Spaz by WFMU. If you're a fan of Lou Reed and you want to hear the early origins stuff, it's well worth it. I can click on one right now and just give us a taste for like 15 seconds, but
No,
we're
don't
not
do
going
it. Don't do it. No, you're not
to,
going to do it because you can't. There's a lot of channels going down right now for past videos, like people who do reviews of music on YouTube.
yeah.
That they got the permission to play all the clips, but now there's a AI robot running through YouTube, and it basically just automatically strikes you no matter
Even
what.
if
You
you
can contest it, but it's very non-negotiable. And if you end up with like, some of these channels are going down because they get like 100 of them a day, 100 strikes a day that they have to contest, and they don't have the time or legal power to do it.
because
So
it's all of their archives that they've been putting up for years.
it doesn't. It's
Right?
just it's technology trying to catch up with itself, especially with YouTube being owned by Google and all of this AI technology, and they're integrating it. Man, they're just, they don't give a shit that you lose your channel, your livelihood, or whatever. You know, so
You know, a lot of times I'm on YouTube and I want to see that they're like, check out this John Lennon track that paved the way for heavy metal bass lines, and I'm like, okay, I want to
yeah,
hear that, and then you do the whole thing. The guy's got a 20-minute explanation, but they don't play and they don't play the track,
no, yeah, that's the
right? But
saddest part.
yeah, well, on the other hand, they're protecting the artists'
Oh, sure. I'm
Right.
not. I know what it's all about, but it's just it's so protective that it basically it's almost like it negates to a point the ever existence of that art and information about it. I think that's always the tougher part of it. Is like
Yeah, I mean, there was
there's
always
so much of it out there. You would want people to at least come across sound clips. Like, what the hell is that? That's really cool, you know. And then you listen and you know, oh wow, I'll check out Lou Reed. Yeah, I never heard of Lou Reed or the Velvet Underground. You know what I mean? It's like, don't know. It's going to be challenging.
well, they better figure it out because a lot of their, you know, a lot of their content is based on like, oh, well, you know, reaction videos, you know, and hearing something for the first time, you know, and it all being a good thing, and the artist is okay with it
Yeah.
because you're bringing it to a
Yeah.
new generation.
Yep.
So, yeah, I mean, maybe they want to give all these people just, you know, a prophylactic strike no matter what. And then once they come to them begging with all the paperwork signed by the WHO and signed by the, you know, the estate and everything, then they'll put it back up.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I think it's a bigger
Well,
issue. I think it's a bigger issue than the issue I have is that anyone can strike you. That's the big thing. So like there are, you know,
you're
there are
completely
individuals or companies that, you know, collectively protect you online, which once again is an amazing thing. It's awesome, you know. But you know, if they just go ahead and you know get on YouTube and then search, you know, content specifically, they might not be looking like they, you know, like I said, like a 20-minute video talking about this song or the bass line in this song and how important it was and how it drove all the stuff. But the fact that you have the name of the artist and the title of the track in the video for the video, they might strike you just for that. Is my point. Like this is not in context. This is the problem with AI and robots revisioning or patrolling or however you want to say it. You know,
spidey.
IPs and controlled content. You know, it's just aggressively striking and knocking things out, which you know goes right back to the whole because there is a uh, you can do copyrighted material on an educational basis, but I forget what the guidelines are. But the big thing is you have to open with a card, and the card has to read that you're using the content for the specific under the section, the copyright. I think it's
Yeah.
1978 or something like
Yeah.
that. Or
Legitimate education and review, right?
mhm. Yeah,
And,
but it's
you know,
just kind of scary. It's
you can't play
scary
the whole
that
thing. There's all this rules.
you know trying to. That's one of the things I love about. It's probably the number one thing I love about YouTube, and it is my primary source of like television in the evening, is to have things just pop up and be like, what the oh, um, I do this to myself often, and I did it last night. Is I'll try to find like an obscure 80s song, like the Stranglers, for in instance. I was watching Stranglers just to watch what other bands would come up. And you just keep going for the least known, you know, track or artist. And you all of a sudden get into this just wide open world of like crazy stuff that was going on and being made back then. Martha and the Melvins, was that one?
Martha and the Muffins, I think.
Yeah. There was a song I hadn't heard forever. Come on, I was like, holy shit,
Yeah, I
because
mean
it
that's all I
actually
listen.
sounds like a church song. You
That's
know,
all
a
I ever
church
listened
from
to is
Australia.
obscure garage rock and
Mm-hmm.
obscure punk
Yep,
and obscure seven
yep.
inches, and you know
There's a
that's
great YouTube channel called Vintage Obscura, and man, they throw some crazy stuff up there. And I'm sure they're vetting it though for uh, total obscurity in lapse copyright.
Right, and that's a funny thing because when I was in the autograph business, I once got sent over to do a house call for a client in Connecticut. It turned out to be this children's book illustrator by the name of Phyllis Krasowski, and she had worked with Maurice Sendak, and she had worked with H.A. Ray, the guy that did Curious George, and she had like made a society of children's book creators. She was I think she was a writer, but she worked with a lot of artists, and they were like, trying to put together this like lobbying effort to get creators' rights recognized internationally, and there was all this stuff. But anyway, her husband was Bill Krasowski, who turned out to be the foremost expert lawyer on copyright and publishing rights and royalties. And he had written a book that was in its 18th edition about how to, copyright and protect your royalties and do that. Bill Krasowski, was, this is to the best of my memory and understanding, he was one of Chuck Berry's lawyers early on that oversaw the transfer of Chuck's publishing basically to the mob, to Lucky Seven, Gambino related, a guy by the name of Morris Levy, who had Roulette Records and Buddha Kama Sutra Records. He had a bunch of different labels, but he was a glorified loan shark that was also ended up being a titan in the music business, because when you get out of the Tin Pan Alley days of publishing and you get into the 60s, he was the I guess producer owner of Tommy Jameson's Shondells, among many other acts. And he had record deals with them that were very, very suspect, because they would say, oh, you owe me money, that kind of thing. Instead of the artist getting money, they're like, you owe me money, like for the tour and the recording and this and that. And there's all these shenanigans. Long story short, Tommy James wrote a book called Me, the Money and the Mob, the Music, the Money and the Mob, something like that. And he was in talks to have it put to make a movie out of it, where Robert De Niro was actually rumored to play Morris Levy. And the movie didn't come out. I think they actually did a stage production of this. But it's a very interesting book about how Tommy James became like this kind of he was being targeted by the mob. The people that wanted to get at Morris were trying to take him out, because they were like the golden boys they were number one on the Billboard charts, on his label. And real interesting stuff. Anyway, Bill Krasowski was right in the middle of all this, and he was literally the guy that took the deposition from John and Yoko. Did you hear of Chuck Berry's song "You Can't Catch Me," which starts out, "Come on, flat top, grooving up slowly"? And John Lennon admitted everything. Of course, I heard every Chuck Berry song that there ever was. So there's, all right, well, we're gonna hit you with a lawsuit. And Morris Levy was trying to sue the Beatles when that song "Come Together" was number one on it was the B-side of freaking "Hey Jude." So all these great stories coming out, and Bill Krasowski was, I was talking with him for quite a while, and I told him that my brother was in real estate, and that sometimes he has to do detective work to find heirs of properties where there's no longer any living, claim, and there's an abandoned property, and the taxes are piling up, and the sanitation violations are all piling up, and the water sewage violations are all piling up, and eventually the city is going to foreclose on it and take it away, so it'll be lost unless somebody can find a nephew, niece, goddaughter, or grandson or whatever, somebody blood that can make a claim on this property. And Krasowski said, well, he's doing the exact same thing with music royalties, that there are tons and tons of licensing fees that have been accumulating for decades and decades that are still unclaimed because the artist died and did not leave any beneficiary on the listing, and the BMI and ASCAP and all of these, royalty collection services and distribution services just hold the money forever. And some of his clients were like, big stars, and Crystal Gale and Rachmaninoff's estate and all that. And so they were, he was fully aware of what's due and and how to get it. He just couldn't find the people. And he needs somebody to go pound the pavement, like in Arkansas, and find the living descendant of these guys who made soul records, and find a cousin or whatever. So really interesting stuff, to get into with that, that kind of like the money angle of it, and the licensing and the publishing. But same thing goes for books, movies, and the same thing's going to be going on with comics at some point. The art form is not as old maybe as and popular as music, but I'm sure there are examples of items that haven't gone public domain yet that are that have a lot of money attached to them. And in comics, you don't have these royalty companies that are just like sitting there saving all the money and in the person's name, waiting for somebody to come along. But there is basically what the Power Pulp guys did. There's the ability to find something that has been underutilized and republish it, put it back out, and sell copies, right?
No. That's not what happened with Leo Drake. In short, the Schmidt brothers, that's who it is. Schmitz?
Yeah, they're in touch with the
Stewart brothers. No, they already had them in the garage. They had 1,000 copies of this book in the garage, so that's what they're selling.
Right, they're in touch with the original creators. But what if those guys were dead, and their children were the ones with the books, right? So now you have to make a deal with
they'd dump them. They would dump them.
That's right, and they'd probably be like, "Well, what do we do with these?"
They might ceremoniously go to somebody and say, a publisher, like, "Hey, my uncle or grandfather or whatever father made this with his brother," like that. But then that's getting to a point where it's like 7,000 copies in the garage. Oh shit! I'm sorry, Matt. Yeah, they did. That's right. In the interview, he said they went to the printer and they got a quote for amount 1,000 or some 2,000 or something, and then they were like, "Well, what would it be like?" Or no, 5,000 to 10,000 or something. I don't remember. But anyways, the guy said it was like a $600 difference to double the order of the print run. And Joshua was like, "Yeah, let's do it." The truck backs up. But yeah, I mean, right. I don't even know if somebody would, without having the family in some way involved, why the publisher would even want to mess with it. Because a lot of things you want to get a hold of has got some sort of like legacy attached to it, or a connection deep, within the roots of, but these guys, who put Leo Drake together, these two brothers, I mean, their characters, they have another brother. He's got all this material. I don't know. It for me, it seems to be a turning of a corner in our society, in kind of turning back and respecting things that did happen back then, for a value of A, somebody taking the time and energy and putting it together, and then B, putting it out there, through distribution, as there was in those years. Don't go into a Comic Con as they did, but then it doesn't tap into anything. Nothing of the zeitgeist. It's not like we were missing this Leo Drake comic. It was now, the individuals with Power Pulp having the willingness to go through everything.
I mean, this wasn't,
and it's like it's something to be said about that.
Yeah, I mean, this is different from like John Tar in that, John Tar, there's only a couple of copies circulating around, and but there's the rights to it, which are for reprinting, and then
And he is still alive.
repackaging. Yeah, but and so you reach the creator, you repackage it, you have a new forward, maybe you have an extra, content. Some of these guys are putting, more content out that goes along with it, anniversary release and everything. But in case of the spy graphic novel, that was already printed copies, just sitting there in a
Yeah.
box. So I asked Matt, I'm like, are they all in good shape? Like sometimes these things get kicked around, they get water damage. There's all kinds of things that can happen. And yeah, I mean, apparently they're still crisp shape, even though they were printed in the 80s. So that's valuable right there. And that's one example where there's the physical copies are already all set, but you have the Jantar model where it's like, well, no, it's the IP and the pages and the publishing, what's going to happen next. So you have all of these situations, and the the the, the clock is ticking, right, on the copyrights, and same thing with music, same thing with comics, film, everything. So if you don't exploit it and monetize it, then it just goes away, and it's fascinating.
Well, it's also keeping it out there, doing editions of the books. That's a very for physical publishing. One of the major components besides ownership from estates is what was the last time it was published? Did it get one print run, or did it change hands with a publisher? So there's this whole line of investigation that has to come through there. But it's going to be interesting because public domain is definitely going to dry up. Even if you do put anything out there, on your own, it doesn't mean that a larger. I always get a little nervous sometimes if there was a huge swing in publishing, a swing up in the value of physical book publishing. That a publisher didn't track down the Gardner Francis Fox estate and want to put it, give it another dusting, if you will, that type of thing.
Yeah.
I just signed a deal with a publisher in Brazil to take one of Fox's books into to be into Portuguese. So this we have a German version of Kothar. We're going to have a Portuguese version of Queen of Sheba, and then there's another Brazilian, kind of like a zine. It's more like a anthology magazine for writing that I've been working with in order to get translations into Portuguese of sword and sorcery material, if I will. But that's one of the things that I do with the Gardner Francis Fox Library is, my whole mission is just point blank. I don't want him to be forgotten. That's it. And that's what I did when I met the family. I was like, look, I'm going to put a lot of my money into it, all of my time into it. I can't guarantee anything coming back. If there's something big, or bigger than I feel is necessary for me to control, I'll turn it over to you. You guys can make decisions for it. But for the most part, I just want these books in print. I want to illustrate most of them, if not all of them. So on and so forth. Turn them into comic books, blah, 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 blah. They're like, yeah. go for it. So, and that's, I still think that's more important. And it goes back to the YouTube thing. If YouTube just has this robot running around just striking people because they use 15 seconds of a catalog that Lou Reed, might not even own, his estate doesn't even own, and it takes down that video of 20 minutes talking about the The
the
value,
making,
the value of it. Yeah, well, the value of it, like
the
the
critical,
integral part of
the
it
history of it. Yeah.
spawning, people taking the third string out of their bass, what I mean? Whatever it is, that
Right.
kind of shit. And that's what I love. That's what I love
Oh, you
finding on
should see.
YouTube. But if
You
they're all
should see
gone, I
some.
don't know what.
You should see some of these Beatles, videos. They were like, in this studio, and they were in the Abbey Road studios, and it turned out that John had some broccoli for dinner the previous night, and he was, a little bit woozy. He was gaseous at this point. They're getting into such like fine tuned stuff, and they just like the symbols were changed out for another pair, and he used an Epiphone, that was slightly different model. It's like they're just pouring over every single detail, and I appreciate the Beatles as much as anybody else, but and it's just amazing, to see. And there's people that are doing this for Dylan, there's people that are doing this for Springsteen. They're just like analyzing every lyric, every note, the recording, who was there, what does the this biography say compared to that biography. It's just crazy. And I love it. I think it's great because I think it only adds value. And I can sit there and listen to that kind of stuff. I saw when they put that new Beatles movie out that had all that footage. I was loving all that. It's like they're talking about Led Zeppelin first coming out, and they're reacting. And oh, there's a drummer named John Bonham, and he's from Cambridge, or he's from Cheltenbury or whatever. I love all that stuff. But yeah, it's not, you're not presenting the songs, you're commenting on it. It's like scholarship, or history, or commentary, or review. And there is supposed to be a carve out, for creators to to present the work, or a little sample of the work, so that people can understand it. I don't think the creators terribly mind, as long as you're not, I mean, at the end of the day, the creators are like, well, we want them to go over to, to buy the song on Spotify or YouTube or whatever. So,
Well, it's one of the really curious things down the road for us, and you and I talked about this way in the beginning when we started this YouTube channel, is like there is no way, even even between us legally, um, any misunderstanding of who owns what. Do you know what I mean? Or what is what we own, and what we're, who are we collaborating with? I mean, it's all public record now. When we run a video with somebody and say, hey, Alex Turbin, if you want to do, the story, and then he says, oh yeah, but I'm going to publish it in my random act. Great, then that's going to be your version. You know what I mean? We're giving that to you. 11 pages of the Duke. We're literally publicly giving him that. So it's another interesting level, I believe we're going to come to, that we're already seeing, that the moment I see anything like this, and this being, do you own, characters, comics, music, cartoons, books, blah, 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 blah. Are you the estate holder, executor, blah, 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 blah. Because it's going to happen, in my feeling, that there's going to be something maybe governmentally in the appearance of being run, but is going to ask for stricter documentation of who owns what. And it will really also be tied with Disney trying to gain absolute control over ideas, because that's what it's getting down to. It's not getting down to who owns Mickey Mouse anymore. It's getting down who owns the best ideas that can be applied to, or the most successful ideas that can be applied to these IPs. Because just owning something doesn't really get you anywhere. You got to have something that engages people.
yeah, I mean, Mickey Mouse is public domain now, but it's only the Steamboat Willie iteration.
Version,
And
yeah.
Yeah, and so that kind of gets in the weeds. They always say, consult your lawyer, consult your lawyer. Um,
Oh yeah.
but that it's going to be from here on out. It's going to be the drumbeat every January 1st. It's going to be
Yeah.
you
There's
know
whole
what
sites
what
and channels devoted
you know,
to it.
what new products or what new properties are going public domain this year, and and if you're smart, and you're one of these people that capitalizes on public domain, like before anybody else, you're in production the year before or 2 years before, so that you can hit the streets on January 1st with your product.
Yeah, but the
I
thing I
mean,
love about public domain is that it's that, like, talking about Crom, the fact that there was a whole other group of people I was not aware of months and months prior to me releasing my Crom the Barbarian. There was the Brutal Blade of Crom Brotherhood that dropped this the same month I did. And I know Jamie, because I've interviewed him a couple times on Crom the Barbarian channel. He says it. He was scared when I sent my email to him reaching out, or even
uh-oh.
I know it was
Yeah,
my instant messaging, because not only did I already have the domain cromthebarbarian.com and had been making Crom the Barbarian content since 2015, but I'm the one that's the custodian of the creator's estate for Crom the Barbarian. But the first thing that I told him is that, how amazed I am and enjoy of having a whole nother group taking a whole nother perspective and putting together their own versions and visions towards a character. But the fact that it is public domain, I claim none of it.
yeah,
And it's so much more interesting and playful than
right.
trying to
So
control the outcome of something.
for
By
anybody
the way, I have
listening,
copies. I have copies of 1, 2, and 3 of Crom, the Brutal Blade of Crom, on cromthebarbarian.com. Thank you.
right, and and as funny as this conversation is right now, we're going to be having the same conversation one day for Conan. That's the funny thing about it. It's not, and then it's going to be every Tom, Dick, and Harry going to be trying their hand, because as similar as Crom is to Conan, the fan base of Conan compared to Crom is just like exponentially bigger. um and there will be a day, when that happens. We could even figure out the year, right? It's like 98 years from 1938 or whatever, or I don't know, you know the
I think
years,
30,
but
32. I think it's 32. He
was it?
commits
Yeah,
suicide. Yeah.
when the first Conan writing comes out, then you have to think about, all right, what's the first Conan, drawn version, the Barry Windsor Smith, right? So then you're talking about 1970. So now 98 years out from that, right, becomes anybody can take the Barry Windsor Smith costume design, which is basically the same as the John Buscema and everybody else later on, Mike Klug, Ernie Chan,
Yeah,
and
but
then just make it.
Conan already has a pretty interesting history with copyright, because there is the internationals, the Conan Internationals is what controls the IP. They actually control the characters. That's the thing I've come to understand. But the thing is that it like comic books specifically, it's moved amongst 3 publishers now, and once it had returned to Marvel for a short stint, or maybe it was back to DC, not DC, Dark Horse. But the idea is that, in my opinion, I can't totally solidify it as true, but there's so big a fan base underground that wants to keep seeing material that they're generating it on their own in fan groups. And then this ends up latching onto somebody who's in a comic book publishing company, and it goes, hey, what's this whole business with Conan barbarian or Sumerian, whatever the fuck you call them. They're just there's this group, this Discord server that's running with 10,000 people on it, and 1,000 of them are writing fan fiction. Is there anything that we can do? Oh yeah, let's try to get that back. And then you start pulling the cream of the crop out of that Discord fan fiction pool. You start putting them in there, you automatically get 10,000 people that are going to, now I'm exaggerating the numbers, but I'm just saying, you already have a pool of people who are going to want to get the published version of that guy's work, so on and so forth. So it goes back to culture, goes back to community, and how people won't let certain things go, and get together. There's a lot of hope, but you always seem to have this like grander vantage point of like, where the money is, and this is more valuable than this thing, but only right now. I think you were saying this in one of the interviews with the autograph industry. 20 years ago, a simple photograph of a bunch of Beatles members could have fetched, 8x10 could have fetched like 10 grand. Now maybe it's like they're hoping to get, signed and all, that kind of thing. But maybe now you could get, I don't know, 1,000 if you're lucky. That's has to be
not that low, 4,000. But
but not 10.
Well, there's the people that it means the most to are dying off, right. And it's not like fine art where it just keeps going up and up no matter the generation. It's
that's what we've got to change it, man. We've got to change this about comic books. Comic books has got to be thought of.
It's funny because there's so much value in so many collectibles in the arts, right? And the music publishing itself or the likeness. I mean, we're getting into discussions now about the likeness rights. Marilyn Monroe's whoever owns that estate or whoever's sharing that estate, it might be her like fat cousin son or grandson that never even knew Marilyn. He might be making more money than Marilyn ever made, and she's going to be doing a margarine commercial tomorrow, but there's the likeness rights, there's the name, the brand, the trademark, and then the usage, then there's like, the sync rights if it's a particular recording, right? But only this person's on that recording, this person's not on that recording. So, there's sync rights. And it just goes on and on and on. And, most of the time it just goes by the boards. But whenever there's actual money involved, that's being made in the millions, that's when people start lawyering up and, figuring out what their share is and fighting for their share. And sometimes it's reasonable, sometimes it's unreasonable. Like, Randy California is a musician that had a band called Spirit, and Randy California actually wrote the intro to Stairway to Heaven. He gave it to Jimmy Page as a gift because he was completely enamored with Jimmy Page, and it was an honor for him to have his riff or his opening be used on a Led Zeppelin record. But after Randy California dies, his freaking wife starts saying, that Led Zeppelin has to pay him, a certain percentage for every copy of Stairway to Heaven ever sold and aired, and that was a bridge too far, and that was one of the most bitter ongoing fights for music and licensing and everything that I think is still going on today. I don't know if they ever settled it, but sometimes it gets into spite, like I'll never pay that lady a dime, or sometimes it's like, oh, give her $100,000, shut her up, make her sign off on $100,000 that she'll never bother us again, stuff like that. I mean, that's basically what Howling Wolf and Willie Dixon and all those old blues artists got when Led Zeppelin, basically just pirated their songwriting and then made a fortune off it. And they were happy to pay them something, although, if they just took a one-time fee or a one-time kill fee, they probably were selling themselves short. But, such is business, like a bird in the hand is worth two in the bush. You know, maybe Willie Dixon is like 80 years old at that time, and he's like, all right, you know, I'll take $100,000 from the Rolling Stones, you know. But you know, they don't, you know, instead of saying, well, I'm gonna get like a team of lawyers and then fight for 10 million, you know. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, it all
Who will
depends.
get who will get 9 million? The lawyers
Right,
will
and
get 9 million.
yeah, the lawyers will get the lawyers will get the bulk of it, right, on both sides.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just amazing to talk about. But you know, comics, we you know, it's all fun and games. You know, we're all just creating and we're all just making our art. And you know, some of us don't expect a dime in return. You know, and many of the people that we interviewed are losing money. You know, and then at some point it'll turn into, you know, profit. But you know, it might take a long time. It might, you know, a lot of artists, you know, they don't really see the full value of their work until they're dead, you know, so they're only seeing it as a ghost from beyond the grave. And you know, I always tell my students that Picasso's daughter is, you know, is making hundreds of times more money than her dad ever made when he was alive. Same thing with Andy Warhol and all these, you know, guys, you know, contemporary artists. But then, you know, then you talk about, like, you know, Michelangelo. Well, nobody's around to collect Michelangelo's royalties, so it's all just public domain, and anything goes. You know,
Michelangelo's royalties.
anything goes.
That's funny. That's
I
funny.
know. Maybe one day they'll
Yeah.
use DNA and figure this kind of stuff out. You know,
Oh wow, there's a story for you. That's pretty funny. Yeah. Prove that,
maybe.
yeah, it gives me still hope, though, the beginning and the end of every day, that creativity um, is what makes the world go round. That's just the thing. You can have all the ideas that your little brain can connect to, because they don't I don't believe ideas are generated from the individual. They're generated from the universe, and you just tap into them, like David Lynch says. Um, and they need to be respected. And you got to deal with them as they are coming to you, and then move forward. But you know, I I don't think too deeply about it, because you and I have such a distance to go. But we've been at this for 3 years, over 3 years, um, and as much as we have accomplished in the second printing of a zine, which the first printing was only 50 copies, and now I'm almost out of the next 50 copies. Um, it's I think it's still less about making a product and more about building a community. And like everybody who's been hanging with us, for this entire time, because we're 20 minutes away from 1 o'clock, which is when we're probably gonna say good day. But I think it is of way more value. Um, and you and I have had some conversations. We have lots of conversations outside or off camera and recording, but just so everybody knows, and Jake and I are very grateful for people, at whatever level of enthusiasm they have for us and support. But you guys are really the people who we think about the most. Like, who's really into Turbo, or who's really into what we're doing, and hence putting a teaser together, and then hence putting a Doom magazine anthology together. Who other people can we get to work with us now? Which is the big deal about Doom Mag's #1 anthology is, we got Ken Landgraf, and then Alex Turbin, and who knows what's going to happen next. I mean, other than just keep getting together and making and working on pages and putting stuff together. But I do spend some time, I don't try to go too long and too deep on it, because I think it'd kind of scare me at some point. But what we're going to end up with 10 years from now,
Yeah, who
and it
knows?
just being as freeformed as we're moving through it, and being as respectful, though, too, is my point. Is that I don't want people that come through here are going to be like, what the fuck do these guys really do? The respect is A and B, Jake and I, Jake's got a whole entire life and job that he works and takes a lot of energy out. So Sundays is the time we get together. I have mine as well, and Sundays is the time when we get together. But when we get together, we're together, you know. So just want that. I just want that on the dock.
We've got to get it together. Yeah, no, it's been a great journey, and the really fun part has been when we really started meeting other people and other creators and seeing what they're doing, and we started expanding into the indie creator exchange, and seeing all these other projects that are so different, but they all share the fact that we're all in the indie space together. Everyone's trying to scratch out, like finding some audience, finding some sales, getting your I guess intrinsic happiness, fulfillment from being able to say, well, yeah, I'm in the comic business. Yeah, I mean, that's always been my dream, right? And then if we can parlay that at some point into a livelihood, um, a lot of people are able to do it. And maybe it takes some time because you need to have a critical mass of product, that you can continue to sell and resell and reprint and keep in print, sell copies of, and do shows and all that. And maybe it's a matter of increasing your skill and your craft so that you can produce quicker and higher quality, and you're not just like a teenager just doing it on lined paper anymore. Now you're in the real world sending stuff out to printers. So yeah, this is the world, and there's so many different variations of being professional, semi-pro, amateur, hobbyist, creator, collector, writer, artist, inker, contributor, reviewer. There's so many different angles, and it's an amazing time that we live in, where we can all just have our own platform on our own channel. Everyone's got an Instagram, everyone's got a YouTube, and some people will go viral and have a big hit with some product, and some people will just kind of stay within their community and interact with a bunch of close knit friends and everything. But that's what everyone's up to, and we're just doing our part in that ecosystem. And we're definitely moving upwards with the last con that we did. That was definitely a step up in terms of sales, in terms of visibility, in terms of meeting people, getting a lot of good interviews out of it, and getting ready for the next one. I'm definitely going to be bringing a lot more prints and a lot more different things to choose from. So should be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'm hoping Matt Sardo puts out some kind of word on, because I'm hearing so many different thoughts about where it's going to be, how many days, and I just
well, we're only in the beginning. That's again, this is still only one con too. There's other cons too. A lot of people. We've spoken to people that do lots of different cons and tabling and making their living, or or making some extra income. But but the point is, getting their product out there, getting their name out there, and staying with it. It's like fine art in that way. It's like if anybody goes to school for painting, high school or college, and they think that they're just going to like make a painting and sell it for a lot of money, that's not how it works. You have to show that you're committed. You have to show the galleries and the dealers and the collectors and your fellow artists and everything that you're committed to being a painter, and then you make a series, and then you have shows and you have exhibitions, and then only then can you, like, maybe, have success. It's very, very, it's very, very tough, I think, in fine art, to differentiate yourself. But same thing in comics, and same thing in music. It's really I was gonna say a dog race. It's really a rat race, out there, because there's just so many. You go to these, you go to the New York Comic Con, you go to Artist Alley. I'm sure they probably had 200 different tables there, maybe more. And if you think about how many are out there nationwide, thousands, tens of thousands, and then internationally, and they're all fighting for the same, collectors, like, people that appreciate indie comics or comics and graphic novels and are willing to spend some of their disposable money. And, in imaginative stories that take your mind away from your crappy job, or your battle ex-wife, or whatever you're trying to escape, just helping you turn some pages and get into something, and see where it takes us. And
Have you heard of
got,
Comics Crossroads out in Columbus, Ohio, at the Billy Ireland
no.
Cartoonist Museum? Have you heard of? I'm going to send you some information. It could be, and that's the same time around SPX. I think the problem is going to be you're just getting ramped up for school. That's my biggest concern. But I want to do another show, the second half of the year, whether it's end of summer or, I really want to find something. I'm going to submit to SPX. I'm definitely going to do that and see if I get in. That's juried. I don't know how that works, but that's going to happen, and I'll see if I get in there.
Slip in the 20.
Huh?
Slip a 20 in with your application.
Oh, yeah, the cash thing, yeah. But I was also thinking they call it CXC. So, yeah, I mean, I think it's something that we need to strongly consider, because I want us to be, have something where twice a year we can, really kind of work towards, and then, unveil, and, then meet the people we saw last year, or meet people that have been always wanting to go to that show and see us, not only us, but other people. And, like I said, the toughest thing for me about IC3 was just how little time I felt like we really had, to hang with everybody and, really share and hear about what's going on and stuff like that. But I'm still grateful that it happened. We still had the ability to go there and do that.
Yeah, it was good. Don't sweat, man. We'll be back and better than ever, I'm sure. And this time we know so many more people. I mean, we're gonna really have to get have to hang out. We'll have to have like a breakfast and a lunch and a dinner so we can hang out and spend time with everybody.
That's true too.
And really exciting would be for me. Would be to get some collabs off the ground, and talk about the scripts and and artists and stuff and that kind of thing. Contributing to each other's universes and see what else we can be producing. Loving it.
Yep. Well, I'm running out of a little steam here, so I don't know. We've got 9 minutes here to kind of close up the show. But I've pretty much said everything I wanted to say.
Well,
today.
we said a lot today. We have my reviews. We have the YouTube videos of the Comic-Con. We have the latest that's on TV. I did get invited. Well, my kids and my wife went to see The Long Walk yesterday, a Stephen King movie. and I think it was one of his more popular books that was just turned into a movie. They went to see it last night. They said it was good, but I didn't go. I hung out with the dog, and I'll see it when it gets on TV. It didn't look like a movie that you want to see in the movies to me. Deathstalker. I think Deathstalker might be coming to my local AMC. I had a Look, let's see. Hold on, I'll tell you right now. It says get tickets. It's 1 hour and 43 minutes. Now playing. All right, so here, wait, that's Tron. Hold on, I don't want Tron. No. I help. I'm stuck. I have no interest in Tron. Find a theater. So I'll put in my zip code and see. Right. No, I don't want a theater. I want to see Deathstalker. I have to go back. Here, look, Deathstalker. And it says advance tickets. It doesn't open till October 17th.
What? Down there my way, it opened on the 10th.
Really? Oh yeah, no, that's Tron Airs. Yeah, no, this 17th it says. Well, let me see. Advance tickets. Where is it coming? So now I'll put in my zip code and see if it's coming around here. Use current location. Continue. Sorry, no show. Well, this is stupid. You have to put in the theater and then it tells you. Why don't you tell me what theaters it's going to be in? Movies near you. Deathstalker movie showtimes near you. Or maybe I have to wait till it comes out. Anyway, would I be liking this? This is kind of like a D&D type thing. Slash is involved.
Well, I mean, you've never watched any of the first 4 Deathstalker movies? Straight to video? 4 of them. This is Deathstalker 5. And the guy who was in the first and the fourth one's in it. So this is totally my my sweet spot, man. This is all about me.
Oh, I know what to do.
I'm not driving the hour on my own. Because I really don't have anybody around here that would.
I think you have to guess what all right, I'll check again. You have to guess what theater it might be in, and then they'll tell you what the show times are. It's stupid. All right, I finished this sketch, so I just kind of like toned this to see how I don't know if you can see very well, but how I enhance it.
Yeah, that's cool.
Just like I did with the elevator. So that is done, and it can come into. I could import that into Quark. I'm going to assume I don't need the other similar one, but we do have the close-up of the dude's head also too. And I'm just cropping this close and save. I can get rid of this alpha channel, save it as a JPEG, maximum compression, and close. The Duke sketch with gun. Now, let's open up. We also have Charvel here, high res in the bathroom. So once we fix up these images, we can start laying out the Quark pages.
Cool.
So I guess I should. This is a little rougher.
I have all. Excuse me. I have all of the. I have the text written, but your text was so squished together, it was not going to be well handwritten if I don't expand it a bit. So I'm gonna, kind of push out. So I'm outside the bubbles. But the one thing I did want to have a conversation with you, which I'm going to do my darndest next week before, maybe on Saturday or Sunday morning before, is basically, if anything, give you one page and then allow with in Photoshop layers, PSD file, and then give you the ability to kind of maybe play around with the bubbles again and see if we want to have me execute a version hand drawn, or would it work, as is? Because I don't want to put a whole bunch
Yeah,
of work in there, and then you're like, these bubbles aren't working for me. We're just gonna go and use the the ones I have in
right.
there and expand them. Because you have ones that
Yeah,
are dotted, like you have ones that are dotted. You also have
yeah.
like
Those have
text
to
here,
be
which is a
black. The dotted
computer
ones are supposed to
font.
be black panels. Yeah,
Yeah.
for
So
sure.
I mean, we have like, but I'm here where I'll scan these, and then I'll have something for definite commitment in moving forward next week. But we're moving along, man. I definitely say having this this 3 hour period of time, really keeps us at a focus, yet like focus on the end game, the goal as is for that. But yeah, I'm excited. This thing's gonna come together. It's coming together.
Yeah, it's coming together. Yeah. So I
So
think
let's.
maybe you'll give me the things and I'll. So how did we do it last night? You were making the word balloons just with
I made them
actual hand,
separately. I made them
traditional hand
separately.
tool.
Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I just had the text out again, printed out again, and then just basically gave myself enough breath on there. But for the turbo pages, those balloons are already on the page. So these
Right,
balloons, I didn't. I had to basically um, just expand and work around that, and then have it floating, so it didn't like cut maybe too much artwork off or go too high and get cut on a bleed trim. So that was already there. But here in these stories, we have control over the placement of balloon and text. So
right. Yeah, maybe I have a feeling I'll be doing the last pass. So when you do it, just give me the text layer and then I'll lay them in with the balloons, I guess,
okay, okay.
on the white
Well, we'll
laptop.
do. Yeah, yeah. But other than that, I think we should let these good people, after spending 3 hours with us, if they have, get back to reading comics if they're not already reading them right now while listening to us, or making them if they're not already making them while they're listening to us, and thank them for hanging out with us. And if you're on the replay and you made it this far, man, you are a good person.
The
You should
rare
know that.
breed.
You're
Yeah.
a good person. You could go to bed with that feeling. But Jake, let's let these people go.
All right, folks. Thanks for tuning in. Check out our other channels. We have the Indie Creator Exchange, where we do fantastic interviews with other like-minded creators. Be on the lookout for our next episode of that. And our third channel, which is Comics to Influence, where we do flip-throughs of the coolest comics that we can get our hands on. And I received these ever since we last spoke. So these are going to be some creator interviews that we do next. But I also have some. Oh, and don't forget this too. But I also have some cool flip through material that I'm sitting on, and I can't wait to do a flip through with stuff like this and stuff like this. So it goes on and on. Anyway, we will see everybody back here next Sunday, 10 a.m. Bring your pencil, bring your blue line pencil and your eraser and your black line pencil and your sketchbook and your pad, and get ready. We're gonna make some.
Next week, we've got an interview that we'll be recording with Ro Higashi, and we're very much looking forward to it. So, other than that, Jake, I'll see you next Sunday.
All right, Kurt. Peace.